MMA, that is using acetone. This thing we can extract the single layer graphene, atomic thickness graphene, atomic layer thickness graphene from that the CVD sample, and that is mostly transported, that is mostly placed on the substrate silica. And this is the sort that description that I told just now. But if you need, you can contact me and I'll explain about this one in a brief way. And I made the different type of graphene during my PhD. This is the plain graphene made on a coil, copper coil, and this is the wire, that is copper wire, 56 micrometer diameter copper wire made. And I also made that the graphene, twisted graphene here, and check that using the Raman spectroscopy. And this is 2D peaks, this is the G peaks. This gives that there is a graphene made on the synthesized on the copper. If there is no copper at that time, what happens? Due to the copper, this curve look like this one. But if there is no copper placed, the graphene placed on the silica, at that time the spectrum becomes like this one, 2D and G peak. And what happens, this is the doping that I made on the graphene, CVD graphene.
Dr. Krishna sir.
Yes, sir.
I think you have to summarize. The time is running.
Okay. And this is other important graphene, that is the long self-supported graphene. And this type of graphene took my 6 months to make this one, to synthesize this one. And this is very, very long, and this is hard to see with the naked eye. And this is the image, optical microscope image, and the Raman spectroscopy taken from this one gives that the graphene is here, self-supported graphene without any supporter here. And this is the twisted, rope-like twisted graphene that I made and checked using the Raman spectroscopy. And this is the graphene woven fabric, and this type of graphene can be used in energy storage material, but I didn't do at that time. But I'm still thinking that this kind of graphene, woven graphene, can be used to make the energy storage devices. And there is a hollow inside this one, and here I have taken the Raman spectrum at different places, different points. And to store the energy, we have to either convert that nanomaterials into the different form, and in which state, in which condition that is fit for, that we have to check, and we can store that energy into the suitable one. And here in the different nano energy storage device, here I have given the capacitor, supercapacitor, batteries, fuels, but this has fuel and batteries have the specific energy very high in comparison to the capacitor and supercapacitor. But in regarding the specific power, these have, but the demerits of this one is the discharge time is very, very less. And here 2D materials can also be used to store the energy. Here are the different types of devices. And here also, that is 0D, 1D, 2D. These all types of nanomaterials can be used to store the energy. And here hydrogen energy is stored in the nanomaterial as well. Here by chemical absorption method and the Fiji absorption method. And electrical energy storage, that is actually supercapacitor, electrical form. Electrochemical energy storage, that is battery. And electrodes, that is in a carbon, in battery, or in a case, porous materials can be made as electrode. And this is the 3D electrode. These are 3D electrode. And other is that the electrolytes can be also used to store the energy, fuel cells. And this is my conclusion. Okay, thank you very much, sir.
So thank you so much for your very nice presentation on nanomaterials overview and application of carbon materials for energy storage devices. So I see there are no questions right now. Also, because of the time, I would like to stop here with one very short question to you.
Yeah, okay.
So you told that, okay, you made very many nanomaterials in Korea, but when you came back to Nepal, then fortunately, unfortunately, you could not make it.
Yes.
So, do you think in our country it would be possible one day to make nanomaterials, and that could be useful to make energy storage devices?
Yes, sir. I confidently say that if here is a tool, we can certainly, we can truly synthesize the nanomaterial. There is no doubt, and we can
Okay.
also use them in a nano storage material as well.
Okay. Thank you. Because of the time, we stop here. So thank you, Krishnaji. Then we have our, let us say, concluding presentation by Govinda Giriji. I suppose Govinda ji is already here, waiting for the presentation. Govinda ji, you are here.
Namaste.
Govinda sir, namaskar sir.
Namaste,
So you
namaste.
are
I'm
here
uploading.
now. You should conclude this presentation session by your presentation on the topic you have already there, role of social e-commerce in emerging economy. So at the end, we need money, we need economy, we need growth.
Oh yeah.
This is one very important thing, and this is the topic you are going to touch today. And I think this will also conclude our.
Thank you, Dr. Rameshwar.
Essence.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Sir, please go
thank you
ahead.
so much. Thank you. Namaste, everyone. Mero naam Govinda Giri. I'm currently from Washington, D.C., close to Virginia. I'm Virginia, but close to Washington, D.C. I am so fortunate to participate this second NRN Global Knowledge Convention. And thank you, NRNA and Dr. Rameshwar and all for giving us that opportunity. My topic is, as you said, like role of e-commerce learning on emerging economy, but I would discuss a little bit, not the research paper type of thing, but I will discuss more like our experience, hands-on experience and learning that would impact in the public and people's lives. Basically, we are social e-commerce platform focusing in content sharing and socializing the gift. What's going on in the world is there is two things going on. One is a social media or social networks that is almost 3.8 billion people use globally. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, so as I said, one is the almost 3.8 billion global people using a social network. Second one is there is no different like an e-commerce, like a digital e-commerce. Also, many like billions and billions every day use the social e-commerce, the digital e-commerce also. Now, today's everyone has a small computer in our pocket, like in a, and then we can use like in that computer every day, everywhere, anywhere for shopping the goods and materials we need it. So what is the missing with these two, the different, the format of a business? One thing is missing is there is no such a platform until today where people can both communicate and social and shop and be rewarded with the time they spend on the platform. Shagun is actually founded to evolve this the space. So our vision is to build a meaningful connection with our family and friends. And I'm going to tell you a little the story today, like what is actually the vision of Shagun, and then I'm going to discuss a little bit the slide over. I think I have like a limited time. I would say one Nepali sitting from somewhere in this world innovate and then tool that share the knowledge and e-commerce side. Second Nepali from London connect to the friends in Australia and share joke and story on his life in London. Third Nepali from Korea returned from home after 12 hours working and received his mother's text message, said, "Chora, can you send me a Shagun coin to recharge my phone?" And fourth Nepali from Korea, I'm sorry, Qatar, connect his mother in Nepal and pressing a mood chat in a one click, and then says, I am sick, mommy. This is the story of Shagun. We have a 3 product, especially you can, if you download the app, you can see the 3 product at this moment. So one product says a Shagun story. Once you wake up in the morning, we all jump into the phone or device, and then start looking for the today's
गोविन्द सर म
story.
सरलाई
Yes.
10 सेकेन्डमा त इन्टरफेयर गरेँ सरको चाहिँ यहाँ 2टा स्लाइड देखिरहेको छ एउटै फुल स्क्रिन नआएर छिट्टो हुन्छ भने गरौँ हैन भने पनि बुझिन्छ
2टा स्लाइड आइरहेछ
हो उनीहरूले
sorry.
त्यस्तो मोडमा आइरहेको छ छिट्टो हुन्छ भने गरौँ हैन भने बुझिन्छ सर ठिक छ हैन भने प्रोसिड गरौँ सर ठिक छ
यो कसरी भयो मलाई थाहा भएन
ल एनीवे त्यसपछि प्रोसिड गरौँ सर ठिक छ यो नै राम्रो छ बुझिन्छ
2टा स्क्रिनमा देखिरहेछ भन्नुभयो
हैन 2टा स्लाइड जस्तो पछाडीको सर युजर प्रोफाइल पनि आइरहेको छ के देखिरहेको छ सरको यो स्लाइड र अनि नेक्स्ट स्लाइडको सानो के भन्छ त्यसलाई त्यस्तो पनि आइरहेको छ
ए त्यो हजुर त्यो यो कम्प्युटर सेटअपै त्यस्तो भएको है sorry
ओके ठिक छ सर प्रोसिड
okay good all right so I was kind of like talking about the story. What we are offering here in is Shagun is like a simple way to capture the hidden story. We believe the story everyone has an everyday life. Once you go out from your door, you can find all the hidden story, your personal life, your politics, your entertainment, your knowledge, anything. So we want our user to capture those events and then share. Is a very simple way to, the upload video, text, and then image. Since January 2019, we have like 4.5 million user use that storyboard, and then 300 million or 30 crore activities happen in the platform. That is like in a view, like, and a comment. Technology we are building here is machine learning and then artificial intelligence. We call that is like a recommendation engine for the Shagun. Second product, I mean the user profile, if we see like a lot of people using our product, the people are like 1,000 push, millions and millions view. Those are the very popular user from India and Nepal. They are every day using a Shagun. The second product is we call Social Smart Card. This is a digital wallet, and this card does one thing: connect. I mean the gifting, shopping, and earning for the one device, and everybody put this device in a pocket. That means like in a Social Smart Card and a smartphone. Since 2019, we have over 1.4 billion smart coins our user earn, and more than 300 million smart coin used for the shopping. Almost 300,000 gift item people shop in Nepal and India. Actually, this product is available. The feature is only available in Nepal and India. We are the third product we are releasing right now is under the beta testing. It is called Chatting by Mood. So there is a very simple way to do that one. Once you open the app, you can tap your mood, what's going on right now. Maybe you are sick, maybe you are missing someone, or whatever your state of the mood. And then without need any typing, any phone call, any text message, you can connect your family, friends, and co-worker. So this is a one-in-one and one-to-all feature. Chat is expire like in 24 hours. This is our the testing product. And technology, this is the technology we built in a backend. This technology was discovered by LinkedIn in 2014. Before that, it was very difficult to scale any e-commerce and social networking side. After that, everybody using that one. This is called microservice architecture platform, and we are using this one. And we also adding a blockchain technology and then machine learning. And later on, until today, we are just building the platform from the ground zero. helping Nepal. Actually, we are helping Nepal since 2015.
सर हामीले
First,
अब 1 मिनेटमा सिद्ध्याउनु पनि पर्छ होला है
us.
थ्यांक यू
We helped Nepal since 2015, almost 5 crore sent Nepal, and we help like earthquake. We have help Dhurmu Suntali for affordable home building, and then revenue paying. They're also helping a government to tax paying. And the another one is we just want to say like this is a very huge opportunity in Nepal, almost 22 of revenue. The foreign company like social media, especially those the companies generating from Nepal, but the Nepal government generated 0 tax revenue until today. This is the area we can capture if a Shagun grows in Nepal. We can, this is a tremendous opportunity to build the e-commerce and the social network in Nepal. And if we grow, we can create the job, developing a new digital market, building a startup ecosystem, and utilizing Nepali talent. Also, we can export like opportunity for the global people. This is
सर अब सिद्ध्याउनु पर्छ होला हाम्रो few मिनेटमा अर्को सेसन छ
This is all about it. We
Thank
are
you.
in a US company, and then we are registered in Nepal and India. Thank you for your time. I am done. If you have any question, I'll be here to ask.
Sir, thank you so much. There is one question. Do you see the future of e-commerce in Nepal? This is, I think you already answered it. You showed a very good future for e-commerce in Nepal. So Jakendra Sarmaji was asking about it. So thank you, and because of the time constraint, I should stop here, unfortunately.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Govinda sir, thank you so much. And please visit our university when you are coming back to Nepal, and let us start doing this kind of things. Why not? We should do that. Sure. If we are losing these arrears of money, we should try to capture it and utilize for our development. So thank you so much. And now we are at the end of this session. Raju sir, you are there? We just finished this in a few minutes. Let me finish my job by telling that we had very nice presentation today, starting from our dear Pramod Bahadur Shrestha sir. He already mentioned that he has been teaching for last 45 years, so almost the age of myself. So he was starting teaching when we were babies or children. So then he taught us the things by giving some formula, 3R, 4P, and so on. And the presentation by Rabindra Puri was so inspiring. Then Raju sir gave us the essence of biodegradable film for agriculture that we could develop in our country. It has a huge potential of growing a kind of industry here. Then we had a technological presentation by Vikas Gurungji. He gave a brief summary of the activities that he and other organizations are doing under the leadership of NAST in technological development to combat COVID. Then we had a presentation by Jyoti Giri and Pankajji about the e-waste management. This is very nice topic they presented. Uttam Sanjalji gave a very inspiring insight about his one plate momo school. 100 rupees is not enough for one plate momo, but he is providing 1 month education for the children for 100 rupees. Asmita Khanal make nice presentation about delicious food. Krishna Rai gave a nice presentation about nanotechnology, and Govinda ji summarized all with the notion that we need economy to flourish. So thank you so much. Then we are at the end of this session. I want to request Raju Adhikari sir, because our Adhikari sir, Ramesh Kanta Adhikari, who was supposed to chair this session, could not be here. So now you have to take the responsibility of Adhikari sir and make a 2-minute closing remark, Raju sir. So very nice to work with you together. Our Sunil sir is already here, the chairman of another session. So I just say goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramesh sir. I think the session ran perfectly very well, and as our chair Ramesh Piyolji could not be here. So on his behalf and on behalf of our team and everyone, I think the conclusive remarks is that this session was broadly very diverse and covered a whole range of area from the nanotechnology, artificial intelligence, food security, graphics, the IT, Sagoon, it's kind of in those areas which are emerging, and it's good to see that Nepalese are involved and doing such a significant contribution, even from the very beginning, and engaged into the frontier of the science, and the presentations really was up to very high standards, and had lots of applied sense, commercialization, sense into it, and this really makes the purpose of this session, which had a theme, startup and innovation, makes it very well in line, and your abstracts were accepted just to put life into the theme of the session, which you have done excellently well. And it's good to see all the presentation come through and enlighten us. And I'm sure the recommendation from this will go into some sort of a report, and then to the Global Convention Committee, to ultimately to Government of Nepal, and definitely would be a follow-up after that. So as Rameswar sir said, that we have got another session coming up at 2:30, and we'd like to be there at least few minutes before, and without much to say, add to what Rameswar sir have said, on behalf of NRN Global team and startup innovation team and IT support team behind, I think we congratulate you. We value your presentation and contribution. You have enlightened everyone who participated and will listen to you. And thanks again once for your excellent presentation. And I have got one formalities here. I might have to invite Praveen Gurung, who is our ICC representative, to give a formal vote of thanks. He is the Middle East Regional Coordinator of NRNA. We have NRNA divided into region, 7 regions, and each region is looked after by a regional coordinator, a pretty powerful position in NRNA. So without much to say, Ashish, if Parveenji is there online?
No, sir, he is not available now.
Okay, if he's not available, I think I will, on his behalf, if Rameswar sir, can I say a word of thanks on his behalf?
Yeah, please proceed. Yeah,
Okay.
we also have to thank Professor Bhadraman Tuladar, who is here from the very, very beginning. Yeah, the whole day. Thank you, sir. Sir, Raju sir, you please proceed.
Yeah, again, I said I'd like to just to say, because it's a 2:20 and I'm just watching my time here. But again, the word of thanks is the most important part of the job, because I think we remain grateful to you for the NRNA, first of all, for organizing this second global convention, which come out from the recommendation of the first global convention, which was tried 2 years ago by NRNA to create a forum where all the diaspora scientists can come and connect with the Nepalese scientists and share their experiences, expertise in their research, and see how their feedback and expertise, when they talk together, what comes out. And the recommendations were very loud and clear, was that we need to organize these conferences regularly. That is a must decision, and a lot of recommendations was to see the follow-up of what we deliver. Has it been implemented, executed, or has it been followed up in the real sense to gain something on the ground? And that is, there is a special session here in this global convention where all the previous recommendation, which was put in through a white status paper in the first to the government of Nepal, will be reviewed. And some of them have been incorporated into the second global convention. That's why you see some of the session you see are in the new areas of startup innovations being given top priority. It was recommended from the first global convention. So there's a special session. I encourage every one of you to attend that, how the first convention's findings were followed up, and how these findings from this second global convention will be taken further up. The session will review that and will share, and will like to have your feedback onto that. So on behalf of Parveen Gurungji, who is the regional coordinator from Middle East, and on behalf of NRNA global team and our president and all the executive team, me and my colleague, Dr. Rameswar Adhikari ji, would really like to thank you for your excellent contribution, your patience, your presentations, and sharing your knowledge and experiences. And thank you once again. With that note, I think we formally may conclude this session, but you remain in this room, because this next plenary session is going to be held in this room only. So you don't need to go out of this, get disconnected, unless you personally want to go. In about, I think, 5 or 6 minute time, we'll talk to the IT support staff to see everything is in place. All our speakers are there. We would like to start this session in 3 to 5 minutes time. With that note, thank you again and for your time and presentation.
हामी पनि ब्रेक गरौँ सर हैन
हुन्छ हुन्छ सर। अब हामी चाहिँ यहाँ के गरौँ भने ठ्याक्कै 2:28 मा आउँ। हाम्रो बिसी सर आइसक्नु भएको छ पनि, म कुरा गरिराख्छु इन बिट्विन हैन। तर अदरवाइज डाक्टर साहब, टेक अ ब्रेक, वी हैव अ 5 minutes ब्रेक हियर फर एभ्रीवन। या थ्यांक यू।
थ्यांक यू।
रामेश्वर सर, त्यहाँ पार्किङको आज त्यो टर्म पेपर हेर्नुपर्ने थियो, म निस्किएँ है सर। त्यो टर्म पेपर अहिले
राई सर राई सर हुन्छ हुन्छ सर हस् थ्यांक यू सर।
Ashish bhai, are we live or we are off the live now?
We are still live, sir. So now
Okay.
we are playing a video. Till then, you take break.
Yeah, that'll be good actually. What kind of video are we playing?
Sir, it's a sponsor video, so we'll play it till then, and we won't stop the live. Then we continue from 2:30. Okay.
Okay, 2:30. So 1 minute before. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, sir. Hello, Raju, sir.
नमस्कार है, नमस्कार डाक्टर राजु अधिकारी।
विशाप नमस्कार।
हजुर नमस्कार है, नमस्कार हजुर। एक दिवक सर पनि आइसक्नु भएको छ ल। हस् नमस्कार।
विशी सर नमस्कार।
हजुर नमस्कार, नमस्कार। सबैलाई मेरो नमस्कार है। यहाँ सबैलाई नमस्कार।
दीपक सर नमस्कार है।
जय हो डाक्टर राजु। जय हो।
आरामै
ठिकै छ।
हाम्रो विशापलाई पनि देखेँ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई।
आइसक्नु भएको छ?
म आइसकेँ त।
ए खै त देखिन्न त, मैले त यहाँ देखिनँ हजुरलाई।
हो र?
हामी त देखिरहेको
देखिनुहुन्न र?
ए मैले त्यो उसमा होला यतातिर अर्को त्यो स्क्रिन।
मैले सबैलाई नमस्कार भनिसकेँ।
हो।
रामेश्वर सर सबै हुनुहुन्छ।
देखेँ सर,
डिले गरिसकेको छु।
देखेँ।
त्यो प्यानलमा लेफ्ट राइट जानुपर्छ क्या धेरै हुँदाखेरि।
सर म आइपुगेँ है सरी है अब
म एकैछिन सोध्छु है
किन गर्छु मेरो घडी ढिलो भएको हुनाले है नमस्कार
आशिष भाइ हामी लाइभ कति बेला जान्छौँ
सर हामी लाइभ नै छौँ अहिले
ए गुड सो हामीले स्टार्ट गरे हुन्छ
हुन्छ सर
हुन्छ I think let's start the session. This very important plenary session, research, innovation, and commercialization. Yeah, and I am Dr. Raju Adhikari and my colleague Rameshwar Adhikari are coordinating this session. And this session will go for about 2.5 hours, and there are 4 invited presentations and a very intensive panel discussion thereafter. So we have in this session, as the theme goes with the research, innovation, commercialization, which is a very difficult topic to talk in the context of Nepal, and we have very well-renowned, distinguished speakers lined up to share their experiences. They all are in the very higher policy position, also as in very experienced innovators and entrepreneur in their own right. So we will be listening to those experts and invited presentations, and then go into panel discussion. So the first part of the session for running invited session, I will be coordinating. Then I will hand over to my colleague Rameshwar sir later on to run the panel session. And then we have finally a board of thanks. Without much of a delay, we got plenty of time here. We were a little bit behind time, but we managed to get recover the lost time. And we hope that this session it's being watched, is live on Facebook, it's been across the globe, and audiences and the participants are watching us from different time zones in different countries. And the feedback we had received was very positive for this particular session. There was lots of interest received. So I'm sure that there would be lots of questions and a very interactive panel discussion. So on behalf of everyone, I would like to introduce all our invited speakers, Deepak Gewali sir, Dr. Pramod Paudel, Ram Lakshman Rimal, myself and Rameshwar ji also is speaker on this, Mahavir Punji, Dr. Bijay Pant, Dr. Siring Lama, Dr. Dovan Lal, and of course our chair of the session, the Vice Chancellor of the Nepal Academy of Science and Technology, Dr. Sunil Babu Shrestha. Before we start the session, I'd like to briefly introduce the chair of the session today, BC Dr. Sunil Babu Shrestha. He is a very well-known prominent figure in Nepal. He is the Vice Chancellor of one of the prime apex scientific body of Nepal, Nepal Science and Technology, the highest body in Nepal. He is also was a former member of National Planning Commission. He has been very intimately involved in the planning, in the planning of policies while he was there and before as well, and now also as a VC, he's deeply involved into planning our country's future policies. And he by himself is a civil engineer. He also has done doctorate from Osaka universities. He has traveled worldwide as a vice chancellor and also as an expert. And he has received several awards to his cap. So I think this list goes on, but with that, in lieu of time, I'd like to cut short here. And first of all, I'd like to now hand over to Sunil Babuji. But before I do that, I think I will also I'd like to introduce Deepak Gewali sir from our end. Deepak Gewali sir is a professor. He's a consultant and advisor in many of the institutes globally. And he is one of the very famous hydropower engineers. He has been the Minister of Water Resources in 2000, and he has been the technical advisory board of the Committee of UNESCO for Water Resource Management, and he has done so many of the work in Nepal, that he is one of the iconic and towering figure in the areas of water resources. So he doesn't need any formal introduction among the Nepalese people as well. So, and he has helped commercialization of the Bhutol power companies. List goes on and on and on. So with that introductory remarks, I would like now Sunil sir to invite Deepak Gyawali sir to give his invited lecture.
Oh, namaskar to all of you. Thank you so much, Dr. Adhikari, for introducing me. It's my great honor to be here with you all. Thanks to the NRNA for providing me this opportunity to chair this session. Listen to the insightful views and opinions from the presenters and the panelists, and share my few words with you. I would like to welcome the keynote speaker, invited speaker, and panelists and participants in this plenary session on the research, innovation, and commercialization. I hope you will all enjoy this session. And this session runs for about the 2 hours with until the 4:30. And immediately after this session, we have to join the inauguration session. So we need to finish this session in time. I hope all of you will cooperate to keep in time. Now, without any delay, I over to Dr. Adhikari to proceed further.
Thank you, BC sir. I well said. I think time is the essence, because this after this there is an inauguration by by our Right Honorable Prime Minister, and it's not on time, so we cannot be delayed to go there. So we'll try to finish in time. And with that note, I would like to invite our keynote speaker, Professor Deepak Gyawali sir, to give his much awaited talk. Deepak ji.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you. Without much ado, I'd like to start right away in the interest of time. I share my screen first. How does one share that?
You got a 20 minutes, sir.
Are you able to see my screen?
If you go at the bottom of the screen, there's a green share screen.
Yeah, it says share. It says okay.
Yeah, if you click, yeah, that's all. We can see that now.
You can see it, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you put it on the full screen mode? Yeah, thanks.
Yes. Has it come on full screen?
No, can you click?
There you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
there we are. Yeah,
okay.
Thanks.
So let me start right away without wasting much time. What I want to do here is to reflect on the context of innovation, and the kind of context that allows innovation to flower or does not allow innovation to flower. Now, this is a very critical thing that we, especially in Nepal, have to reflect on. And this brings us to all kinds of crazy areas that are really not taught in universities and is not part of our training, which is mostly to do with the philosophy of science and the sociology of technology. Because we may have the most brilliant technology and the most brilliant idea, but if the social context just is not conducive, then none of it will flower. So this is my main concern that I intend to share with you. Even the word innovation in Nepali is a problem. I know Dr. Suresh Dungel of NAST is watching, and we have interesting disagreements on this. The formal word in Nepali that's been taken, well, dictionaries are no help because definitions are all circular. A chair is a chair because it's a chair. Now, that really doesn't help. And the word in Nepali has been accepted now, I guess officially, is Nava Pravartan, but somehow it doesn't, it just catches that idea of new, but doesn't catch the process at all. I would personally prefer the word Avinav. It comes out of Sanskrit, I know, but it also highlights the action, the Naya Kadam, the new step forward, as well as creativity. But anyway, who am I? That's my problem. I'm going to draw most of my talk from a chapter that's appearing in a book out of Tianjin University, China, on innovation and innovation in education and what it means. Okay, and it's still a work in progress, and it's been going on for quite a while right now. So that's where I already come from. Now, what I would like to do first is reflect on some technologies and talk about what are good technologies, what are bad technologies, what are technologies that deserve to be promoted, and what are technologies that deserve not to be promoted. Okay, well, the picture you see here is the is a classic one. I mean, this is all over Nepal, and this monsoon, you must have read all kinds of news about lots of landslides, lots of deaths, lots of old villages being washed off, people dying, you know, much more than ever in the past. Landslides always occur in the Himalaya, but never as extensively and ferociously as has happened this year. And that's because of badly engineered roads, where the dozer driver is the engineer and the local village politician is the designer, I guess. Okay, these roads have no thought of hydrogeology, no thought of slope stability, nothing of the sort. Okay, and this has been a problem. I was on some research work in one of the districts, and I was shocked to realize that the people in the local level who won elections in the wards had won because their manifesto said, and this is in a hilly district, okay, said that you know, their election manifesto promised that there would be a road within 3 minutes of every house. Can you imagine in Nepal with a road 3 minutes of every house, not every village, every house? Well, this is the result we are seeing now. The trouble is there is a better alternative technology that is mountain friendly and climate friendly. By the way, with this explosion in vehicular traffic or import of vehicles, Nepal's diesel dependency and diesel import has blown through the roof. And the studies by the Center for Renewable Energy at the Institute of Engineering by Amrit Nakarmi and Nast Pragya, Jagannath Shrestha has shown that, you know, we spend about 169% of our export earning, you know, just to import petroleum, which means as a country we are bankrupt. But this is the technology we are pursuing. While there's a better technology, a mountain-friendly technology that came to Nepal almost 100 years ago with Chandra Shamsher, the ropeway. Now, this is just an example I'm drawing here, but it is mountain-friendly and it is climate-friendly because it operates on hydropower, clean energy. Okay, and we are going to be in the coming decade, or at least the coming 5 years, going to be in surplus in hydropower with nowhere to sell it because India is not going to buy it, or if it buys it, it'll buy it at cost price, which means there's no profit left for you. Okay, so we should be encouraging more hydropower consumption rather than importing fossil fuel, and transport. You know, greening of our transport would substantially help in that direction. Now, if you look at we've done some study way back almost 20 years ago, which showed that we examined Barpak and Khimti and Bhatidana ropeways, construction ropeways that is, and they showed that they're 3 times cheaper to build than an equivalent gravel road or this Dozer Atanka road, 8 times quicker to install because ropeways can be installed in 1 season. We installed it in 1 season. 2 times more energy efficient, which is 34 megajoules per ton for ropeway versus 53 megajoules per ton for road, you know, and diesel trucks there. And in Bhatidana, the milkway that transported milk, it turned out that when it was replaced, the diesel generator was replaced, which required 34,000 rupees per month of diesel. Nepali hydropower with industrial rate could do it only for 7,000 rupees. So this is what we should have been doing. Now, here is an innovation, technological innovation, that should have been just picked up without any questions asked, but it is not, which forces us on the question, to the question, you know, where the hell are we? Let's take another technology from water resources. These brushwood dams, Shaule Bandh, are ubiquitous across Nepal. And even now, over 50% of our irrigated hill areas are irrigated by means of these Shaule Bandh. Okay, they are primitive, they are traditional and all that. But look at the ecological side of it. They provide you the water when needed, which is the dry season, the month of Chaitra, okay, Baisak. It's not needed during the flood season. Flood season, you're not trying to divert water, you're trying to get water out of the fields, and these things get washed away. So it's a disposable technology. It's a disposable dam, organic, you might say, disposable dam compared to cement dams. But unfortunately, our education system, engineers like me and many others, we're all taught only cement. As a result, in that same Tinau, this is Tinau in Tansen Palpa, Madifant, the same Tinau, just below Butwal, 1961, with Indian aid, this Hatisode barrage was built. Unfortunately, it's a delta fan, as a inland delta fan. And as a result, the next year, the Tinau River moved away. And that barrage stood high and dry for 30 years until 2 years back, a big flood took it away. Okay. However, that area where this was designed for uplifting irrigation, the barrage failed, the old system was destroyed. Eventually, the market entered with this diesel pump. Okay. And today, Marchwar has come back from being a dacoit infested area to having very prosperous agriculture in place. Okay. Now, this forces us to start asking questions about technology. And what we try to do here is use some of the philosophers of technology like Brian Arthur at the Institute for International Systems Analysis. He used to be long ago in Vienna. And he's a philosopher of technology. And he argues that technology is not just applied science. You know, technology is a social phenomenon. You know, technology develops by developing its domains. There are different domains of technology, and the richness of technology or its innovativeness of technology depends on first how rich your domain is, you know, and then the second is how much structural depth your technology has. So this means that all these different domains, you know, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, you name it, all these domains have to be richly developed. Okay, and in each domain there must be such depth that if some of the most fundamental things go wrong, you can set it right. Which means that imported technologies really do not help innovation, you know, that they actually kill the development of domains, you know. So the richness of domains and structural depth characterize the economy, which means that technologies really cannot be transferred. Technologies have to be built, or the capacity has to be built, you know. Now, on the society technology interface, the Canadian philosopher of cities, Jane Jacobs, she's amazing. I met her. She's long passed away now. Her books on the economy of cities is just astounding in its philosophical implication, where she shows by example that cities survive only when they are innovative, first of all. Okay, and they do not import substitution but import replacement. Import substitution is nothing but, you know, government giving tax breaks, which is a race to the bottom. You know? And she describes how Detroit really was a creative city and did import replacement of replacing even everything imported like toothpaste and horse carriages and things like that to be Detroit that it was. But it got destroyed by, you know, import substitution and the building of the Ford Motor Plant. Because by then it just became a company town and innovations shifted to the West Coast to places like Los Angeles and Silicon Valley. Okay. Now, I won't go too much into detail, but the philosophers of science have been debating about the instrumentality of technology, whether it's value neutral, is sanitized of politics, and it should be unquestionably deployed, or, you know, and this is much of neoclassical economics, or substantivists like Martin Heidegger, the philosopher, Jacques Ellul, you know, who argue that technology imposes a colonizing determinism of society, and that much of human innovation is stifled in the process, you know. Now, there are others, and I come from the others one, where there are critical theorists and cultural theorists who argue that there's a middle ground between instrumentalists and substantivists. Now, this is all important to understand innovation, okay? Now, what critical theorists argue is that instrumentalists, you know, to take political bounding, but it doesn't work. Whereas the substantivists argue that it's moral values that, you know, should be guiding, but doesn't work because practicality wins. Okay, so critical theorists argue that it's not, you know, technology is not a destination but a scene of struggle where innovative and critical education comes to play, and which brings in the whole area of education in the broad sense, not education in the, you know, training kind of, you know, rote learning sense, but of inculcation of values. For instance, do we have an education system that values public transport or individualized automobiles? It changes everything. You know, if your education system is one, you head for one kind of society, as we are doing right now with the Pajero culture, or you come to a Japanese kind of a training of communitized public transport, where I too, like our VC Sunil Babu's sister, I too stayed in Japan as a visiting professor at one time. It's amazing that you really don't need a car in Japan. You can just about go from anywhere to anywhere in public transport. Okay, and it's a much more efficient society for that. Okay? Now, this brings me to cultural theory, the social science of the philosophy and sociology of technology I do. And critical to cultural theory is that it is not just market individualism and state hierarchism that's important. It's not just socialism and free market that's at play here. Both are necessary, but what you also need is civic activism, activist egalitarianism. Now, and then of course you have the fatalist voters and consumers. This example is from this overdrafting of groundwater in India and Nawalparasi and all that we were studying, where the reaction is very different. The market doesn't care about the environment, to tell you the truth, as long as it makes profit. Whereas the activists are very concerned, as you can see in the lower right-hand corner, and the government types are also more interested in bringing rules and regulations. Now, only rules and regulations are not going to solve the problem. There has to be this moral outrage as well for anything to function, okay? So in the process, cultural theory argues that there are 4 types of goods. They're not just private goods, but there are also public goods, and there are common pool goods that we have to hand over to future generations, okay? As well as club goods that you are excluded from, the poor fatalists, okay? Fatalist consumers and voters, okay? Now, if you look at goods this way, then the question that comes is, which kind of goods are you talking about when you're talking about innovation, okay? Now, the same applies, you may think, not just to technology, but even to information. Information can be a private good, it can be a public good, it can be a common pool good, or it can be a club good. This is from a research that I shared for the European Union with Professor Tony Allen as our rapporteur long ago, where we are looking at European Union's funding of water research policy. Now, cultural theory argues that, you know, these 4 types of organizing styles, as we call them, give rise to very different definition of the problem. You know, take the very question of risk. You know, is risk just one scientific definition of risk? Of course not. Risk is socially constructed. Risk is an opportunity for individualism. Risk is something to manage for hierarchism and government agencies. Risk for the egalitarianist activists are something to amplify and warn society about. Okay, and for the fatalist, risk is just something that you are a risk observer. You just cope with whatever is around. Okay, now this leads us to argue that these 3, leave the fatalist aside at this point, you have 3 basically organizing styles that give rise to a very different definition of what the problem is, and therefore definitely very different solutions to what the problem is. And strangely, we find out that this kind of a framing is also very commensurate with the framing of ancient Hindu philosophy, especially Samkhya philosophy, out of which Buddhist philosophy grew out of. So there's a rich potential, rich possibility for us to really explore innovation in Nepali society from very much our own tradition and Western tradition together. Now, cultural theory would argue that these 4 styles of organizing, with 4 different views of risk, 4 different views of justice, 4 different views of development, and so on, means that when you talk technology or when you talk innovation, are you talking of technical market-led innovation? Are you talking of managerial innovation by the hierarchical agencies, or are you talking behaviorally, innovation by activist egalitarianism? What we are arguing is that, especially if problems are wicked problems versus tame problems can be solved, and you can innovate your way out of it just sheer out of textbook engineering. That's not a problem. But when you have wicked problems like climate change, poverty, water, energy, it requires clumsy solutions, not neat solutions. Okay, which means it needs a tremendous amount of social engagement, and there are great examples, from the modern bicycle to ozone depletion treaty and so on. Okay, so how do you assess technology? We argue as cultural theorists that we have to assess technology less for its cleverness and more for its social implications and how it defines the problem and how it sets about proposing solutions. Now, this is not all fine. What we observe when we observe the social context within which innovation takes place we find that all three of these areas really have a massive distortion, or as we call it, dharma gone wrong. That governments are not really governments that are doing managerial innovation. They're becoming rent-seeking license raj. Markets are not really competitive markets, but they are crony capitalist markets. And then the civil society is not really an alert civil society, alerting society to the dangers, but it's one of these what we call bongos, dongos, pongos, and gongos, which is business organized NGOs, party organized NGOs, donor organized NGOs, and also they're really not civil society, but they are business by other means. So I would like to close by arguing that the question that has to be asked is how do we go about with innovation? And the answer is you need the market, but you need civic caution to come with it, and you also need state regulation to come with it. Too much civic caution means it leads to stagnation. Too much state regulation without freedom to innovate would also lead to stagnation, and if you leave a market completely free, it will lead to social dislocation like we have never seen before. Okay, so what this now I'll close by a question to our NRN community. Your expertise that you have gathered by working in very advanced countries and all other places and different societies has given you insights of a very unique nature that would be very valuable in applying to Nepal. But the question is, how are you going to do that? Do not expect that some red carpet will be just laid out and you can walk onto it. That red carpet too has to be built by you, And the issue is, are you going to be engaging with all these three organizing styles in Nepali society? Governments, markets, and civic movements. That will determine the success of whether your expertise can be valuable and fruitful in Nepal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deepak sir, for your excellent presentation and finishing well in time. I just would like to give a very challenging question, which definitely we'll discuss it during the panel discussion. But what I think, I'm a medical scientist. So for me, as you said, is moral values and the purpose is the most important. As you see, the medical research is driven by recombinant DNA, proteins, and all sort of, genomic research, clonings, and also, I don't know whether our moral values stand there. And there are a lot of ethical committees being formed to look into, but it's a very complex areas into the medical profession. Anyway, without having taking much of your time, now I'll move on to the next presenter, invited presenter by Dr. Pramod Paudel. He's the research director of University of Grand Commission, which is the highest body of our government statutory body, which looks after our education, higher education, and its value. So without much in this thing, I'd like to invite Pramodji to give his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Namaste. Good afternoon to all the distinguished guests out here. Especially, I would like to thank Professor Rameshwar Adhikari, sir. Actually, he is one of the most inspiring person out here for me. So actually, he gave me this opportunity. So, and I would like to thank the NRNA for giving me this opportunity to give a talk on higher education and research in Nepal. So shall I proceed it?
Yeah, you have only 20 minutes. If you can finish well in before that, that will be fine. Your time has started already.
Okay. So just, I would like to briefly introduce the higher education in Nepal. So it was the Trichandra College, first affiliated to Calcutta University. This is the first national higher education institution in Nepal. So after this, the Tribune University was established in Kathmandu in 1958. So currently at there are academies in Nepal. So here are some of the list we can see, including Tribhuvan University, the latest one, Rajasi, Janak University, and there are many pipeline universities in Nepal. And there are 6 medical academies in Nepal. So all of these higher education institutions, they are facilitated by the one of the apex body, that is University Grant Commission, is was formed in 1993, and which is the highest body, the apex body of higher education institutions. So it has a role in facilitation, regulation, and governance. And also, in addition to that, it has a key role in research, development, and innovation grants to the higher education institutions. So the University Grant Commission, it has already completed 3 the major project under World Bank with help from World Bank. So especially they focused on the first one was focused on infrastructure development of Tribhuvan University. And then in the second higher education project that was launched from 2017 to 2007 to 2014, have initiated the quality assurance and accreditation process, performance-based funding, formula-based funding, research development, innovation support, institutional autonomy. And followed by this, the currently now it's on the at the end of this project, that is from 2015 to 2020, a higher education reform project basically focus on implementation of reforms, capacity building, project management. And from all of this, we have identified the gaps, and then we are in a process to develop a new project to upgrade the quality of higher education. So let us begin with some the status, the current status of higher education in Nepal. We can see that there are around 423,000 students enrolled at the higher education institutions of Nepal, and that covers almost 79% at the Tribhuvan University. And so in the academic faculties, we can see around 82% in Tribhuvan University. So Tribhuvan University is a dominant, even in student and as well as in the academic faculties. And there are around 1,425 higher education institutions in Nepal. So how is the status of enrollment ratio in Nepal? So the UGC EMIS report of 2017 to 18, 14% gross enrollment ratio has been declared, and the government in the National Development Plan has claimed that it should be raised, it will be raised to 25% by 2030 and up to 40% by 2043. So this is a good projection or aim.
Parmoji, there was a small mistake. There was a small. Hello? There was a small mistake. I think your presentation is for 15 minutes and you got 10 minutes left. Yeah.
Okay, it's okay. I will finish in 15, around 12 minutes.
Okay.
So, okay, thank you. So when we go through the province-wise share of the campuses and students enrollment, we can see that even in the campuses percentage and enrollment, the highest is on Bagmati province and the lowest in the Karnali province. Similarly, when we see the share of enrollment in different subject areas in higher education institutions, compared to other disciplines, non-technical subjects, only 21.4%. This is the enrollment ratio. percentage in technical subject, including science and technology, agriculture, health science, and so on. So it's actually very low compared to other disciplines. So when we compare the enrollment in technical subject with other countries, so that Nepal is only 21.4%, India 26.9%, and Malaysia 41.9, Thailand 49.30, and the China has around 51% enrollment in technical subjects. So with this, the government also have developed the government policies to upgrade the quality of higher education in Nepal. So it has already launched the 15th National Development Plan, National Education Policy, and Science and Technology Innovation Policies. And currently the UGC has also developed the plan for quality higher education. From these above policies of the government, that is sustainability plan for research funding, and the quality assurance and accreditation strategy plan for 2030. And as the NAST, actually the NAST is an apex body of Nepal, basically involved in the policies that are included in science and technology and innovation part. So it has emphasized on the quality and research-based university education in science, technology, and engineering, and also establishment of center of excellence at the provincial level. This, of course, will enhance the quality of education as well as research in Nepal. So when we go through the publication strength of Nepal, that is listed in the SciMago database from 1996 to 2019, we can see that Nepal is at the 17th rank position compared to other Asian countries, and 91st position worldwide. So this means, and also the H index is quite good. It's improving every year. So when we go through the university ranking, of course, the Tribhuvan University, one of the largest university in Nepal, is currently ranked between 800 to 1000. This is the Times Higher Education World Ranking in 2021. And in Asian territories, it is ranked between 351 to 400th position. So when we go to the key statistics, the number of students per staff, the ratio is 31.1, and it's pity to say that the percentage of international student is zero, almost zero is, and the number of current enrollment students is around 424,000 students enrolled in the higher education institutions. And the student ratio of females to male, 51, the male, female is higher compared to the male, 51 is to 49. And also this is a very good news for us that the Global Innovation Index of Nepal is at 109th position as of 2019, and has drastically increased to 95th position. This is the current database. So going to the journals publications, there are around 191 journals which are listed in the NEPZOL, the online version of Nepali journals, and it's pity to say that only I found only six journals that are indexed or listed in the SciMago journals. So we need to do a lot of research in Nepal. So talking about the intellectual property right, IPR in Nepal, actually it was introduced, the act was introduced 48 years ago. And till date, this is obtained from the Ministry of Industry. So only if designs have been registered. So out of the total registered patents, 36 belongs to the foreign firms, and among 92 registered designs, only 22 belongs to Nepali firms. So going through the publications that is from the UGC funded research grants, we can see that the total number of publications is in increasing trend, but in 2018 it was drastically increased compared to other years. But when we see the publications in ranked or rated journals, so almost very similar. They are in static condition. So we need to increase the publications in the rank rated journals. So when I checked the ranking of journals that from the UGC funded research grants, the Q1 ranked around 36 journals are ranked in Q1 and 53 in Q2 ranked. As an apex body of science and technology, so when I went through the PubMed, the publications of Nepal Academy of Science and Technology is very nice. It's increasing trend. So the track record of publications is drastically increasing in consecutive years. So that this is just I checked in PubMed from the last publications. When I went through the Nature Indexed, Nepal in Nature Indexed, so the highest is on Earth and Environmental Science. So this is just of one year. And so when we compare the institutions, Tribhuvan University, the highest count at Tribhuvan University. So this is just from my perspectives that how we can run the higher education institutions and how we can increase the research and development after the COVID or in post-COVID. So that means it's better to have a stronger budget allocation to education sector with equal distribution in all levels, as the government has allocated only 1.29% of total budget in research and development. And education fees of students should be lower, around 40 to 50, and altering the trend of evaluation method in students and the involvement of TARA in higher education institutions, which is lagging here. Cut the competition with each other and work in collaboration to make reforms together. And higher education institutions must invest in mental and emotional support services, and finally, the invest in digital connectivity. This is just my perspectives. That's all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Parmaji, for finishing the presentation well in time, 15 minutes. Without much delay, I think I'd like to invite the next speaker, Ram Lakshman Rimalji, who is the CEO of their own company called Ram Lakshman Innovation. I think they...
Sir, there is one small problem. Because Ram is joining, but he is he has some technical problem. He is not able to join. He is waiting for 20 minutes. So maybe it will take a few minutes to join, for him to join.
Okay.
So we can we go for another lecture, or shall we do some discussions?
I think how long would it take? Is it really a minor?
Because I also informed Ashish here. I was doing on the background, but they are telling that he is not there waiting, but he's telling that he's waiting. So I asked him just to go outside and rejoin again.
Okay, so in the meantime, we can go ahead with our presentation, which is our next, is our presentation. So what we do is that we save the time and go for our, we're running 6 minutes late, so we have to recoup that time so quickly. So let's go to our presentation, and then we'll bring back Ram Kumarji's after our presentation. Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So I'd like to invite ourselves to the next presentation, which is an NRN presentations, joint presentation with the recast. So I'd like to share my screen, and can you see the screen? Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I think our time is also presentation, and we are jointly presenting this topic, which we think is very important as we talk about innovation. Of course, innovation is very expensive business. It's an individual idea, brilliant idea, but that you need collaboration because there goes much into it with the multidisciplinarity and a lot of knowledge exchange and cross-fertilization and everything. So collaboration is the fundamental of any innovation. So, and we're talking here in respect to NRN collaboration. So I will give half of the presentation up to 7 minutes, 7.5 minutes, then I'll hand over to my colleague Rameshwar sir to talk about the remaining part of this presentation. So the next slide. I think in the outline, what we try to say here is that we'll give you some perspective of the diaspora, who we are, and what is diaspora is so important to Nepal, and what we have done so far, and past initiative, and some of the learning curves. When you go to collaborate, there's always a learning curve. It's not easy. Collaboration is never been an easy. There are a lot of issues. So what are the future strategy we have going forward into from our learning to bring this collaboration more meaningful and more productive? As you know, diaspora organization is a very, very complex and heterogeneous organization. It's been almost 17 years now since diaspora was born from a simple concept by our founder, President and since then we represent, I think, 3.4 millions of Nepalese people live outside. We represent them and we call them diaspora, and they are spread out in 87 countries. But if you look at into their functioning and structure, it's very, very complex. There's lots of bureaucracy, and it's very hard to crack the nut. So recently, only last year, they restructured the whole organization and organized into the department structure. So there are 5 departments which looks after the whole gamuts of NRNA activities across all the disciplines. And if you look at which I'm presenting here, we are presenting here is the one which we all think a very important one of all the 5 division is the Science, Knowledge and Technology Department. It is headed by a vice president, which is Ambana Kesi. And I'm the member secretary of this global, and there are 5 divisions: NRN Academy, Nepal Science Foundation, Nepal Policy Institute, Vocational Education, Global Conference. That's we participating is also one of our major activity. The idea was simple, is that we have brain drain, we have to get brain gain, and only that happens through cross-fertilization. And NRN can act as a bridge between Nepal and the overseas diaspora. So that's kind of a bridge we are playing, and this global conference is one of the biggest bridges between Nepal and diaspora. And in the last 17 years or so, we didn't come up very quickly. We were only late to be introduced. The knowledge investment concept was late introduced only in 2003. There are a lot of push for the capital investment early days. And a lot of diaspora interested was dual citizenship, there are a lot of philanthropic and a lot of capital investment. But the knowledge investment took this thing kicked off only in 2003, and with the formation and declaration of skill, knowledge and innovation transfer task force. And that task force then ultimately led to a committee, and the committee formed then a lot of initiative through flagship project. And of the 2 most important one, Nepal Science Foundation, Open University of Nepal, which is now established in Nepal, up and running, have enrolled students. We don't have any direct role, but we have helped continuously working together in partnership for 10 years with the Ministry of Education and NAST and everyone to transfer their technology, and that's up and running. So we really now, there's another flagship project in Gainakot University. In Gainakot, there's a Nepal University where we have this NRN Academy concept is built into a smart city concept. So this Academy and University of Nepal is a part of a smart city concept, which NRN is trying to manipulate and be there, playing a proactive role and through the Gainakot, that Nepal University concept. So there's a whole lot of flagship concept and program has been created just to institutionalize all our initiative, because if you do discreetly these things, innovation doesn't take place. So we want to institutionalize these activity. And Open University, as you can say, we have a glorious history. It went from 2008, and the university after 10 years was this thing. We signed several MOUs, not only with Nepal, but also with the Athabasca University, which was one of the pioneer partner of ours from the early days and was involved heavily into this initiative. So it was a successful, and now there is a this Garna Court, there's an open in Nepal University proposal by the federal government, and everything is ready to kick off. But there's a lot of politicking going on to start this project. As a steering committee led by Dr. Arjun Dakal, and also Pramod Dakal is involved into this. But this document has been submitted to NRN and the government of Nepal, and we're waiting to think things whether how it unfolds, and accordingly we will participate going forward with our academic concept built into that to create knowledge innovation hub. So diaspora has collaboration has been always through the collaboration. We live overseas, so we cannot be on the ground. So we thought the collaboration is the way forward. So NRN has signed an agreement with NAST and RICAST, and recently only we revised the agreement MOU with NAST, and we're trying to establish a serological lab in partnership with NAST, which is in context to the COVID crisis. And we're also signing a global scholar exchange facilitate program through RICAST. So we organize brain drain seminar regularly in partnership with NAST. We do joint publication book projects, and global knowledge convention is one that you've seen, and skill inventory and digital research repository that we're trying to establish online. Now I hand over to Rameswar sir to take over the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I think I don't have the final slides. So may I request you to show the slides, or either that, or you may finish the presentation also. That is also okay for me.
Is that yours? Yeah, this from here?
Yeah, so because I sent you this morning the slides, but I don't get it back from you, so I don't have the final. So can you please either go to next slides, then I can explain, or you finish the presentation.
No, please go ahead. Can you see these slides now? Yeah.
So okay, so this is the slide we are in.
Yeah.
So thank you. Okay, sir. So thank you, Raju sir, for very nice introduction of what we are all together doing, and what stakes the NRNA is taking to connect the Nepal with all the professionals, intellectuals, and experts who are in diaspora. So for is it the slide that I have to start with?
Yeah,
so there are some potential areas that we could explore as a result of collaboration with between NRNA and Nepali institutions. We have mentioned here some of them. For example, we can explore the areas in biotechnology, because we had this morning also some lectures which are related to the biotechnological works that are carried by our young scientists and young researchers. Nanotechnology is emerging as a revolution also in our country. In the last 10 years, there have been made a lot of improvements, developments in our country, and we have to move also with the speed of the world. Then data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, these are also the things that are evolving very, very rapidly. We have to catch this for the fourth industrial revolutions. And new materials and plastics also, as Dr. Raju Adhikari this morning presented in the symposia, presented about the biodegradable films for agricultural purposes or biomedical applications and so on. Then another sector would be already mentioned, biomedical application and agricultural sector, renewable energy applications, and new materials development. These are the areas in which we still need more expertise, more experiences, more technology. As Deepak sir mentioned, technology transfer cannot happen, but what we can do is we can learn from the technology that are already existing, and we can adapt them according to our needs. Then recycling, reusing, regenerating of the resources is also a very important thing, which are very, very necessary in our context, in our country. But for that, we need the experiences from the developed countries where they have already developed their technologies, traditional knowledge, ethnomedicine, traditional technologies. These are the areas which we still need to explore and we have to develop so that our entrepreneur, young people can make them a kind of industry so that we can make them to a source of income generations, healthcare materials development, food security, nutrition, water purification, environmental remediations. These are the areas in which we can really explore the potential as potential areas of collaboration between NRNA and Nepal. So we have in panel members today, many people who are engaged in the development of technologies for this. I'm very happy about that. So the Recast initiative, I want to mention some of them. We have Mahavir Punji, who might come, or somebody from Innovation Center. Innovation Center will be joining in the session. So we have established a very strong collaboration with National Innovation Center led by Mahavir Punji. And it has become a kind of strong incubation platform in the university together with other institutions. And we have imagined, and we are going to launch it as a joint program between our university, our Recast, and NRNA, young scientists at a Recast, which will be a fully funded program for aspiring scientists for short research stay, a couple of weeks, joint mentorships by Nepal Academy of Science and Technology, different universities, NRNA, Nepal Science Foundation Trust, and together with Science Teachers Association of Nepal. And we also have some new visions to that is really very practical, and we can do it immediately. New visions are pulling guest faculties from NRNA network and joint research supervision, joint funding applications, and so on. Can you please go to another slide? So this is, yeah, actually, Raju sir can perhaps tell more about this later on at the end of this.
Okay, I would jump in. Yeah, I would jump in and then give it to you. I think this is one of the glaring example of an in-kind contribution. As you can see, this book project was launched 2 years ago by Nepal agriculture professionals in Americas. So they have, this took 2 years. There are 19 chapters, 49 diaspora experts agriculture experts were involved. I was invited to join the editorial team and also contributed a chapter on plastic technology and application in Nepal. So this is kind of the things where even you don't need to be on the ground, but through crowd spacing and sharing of ideas, you can generate joint publication and create sort of a knowledge exchange between the Nepal institution and the diaspora, share experiences. So this is all about kind of a contribution as an example through the crowdsourcing.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next one. So therefore, way forwards are partnership between different institutions in Nepal, and partnerships between institutions in Nepal and abroad, partnerships between Nepalese and foreigners. So different institutions partnership, this is required, and that we can do. So co-investment flagship projects that we have already mentioned some of them. We can also think about other kind of projects related to different potential areas of national interest. So we can form a joint technical team, and international brand applications can be made. So knowledge sharing is very, very important. Digital connectivity is very, very important, that we are also experiencing now. And perhaps the next century will be ruled by data and digital things. So we have to make an advancement in this area. And it will be certainly very, very useful to have NRNA representation in Nepal in science and technology institutions. I have already mentioned that I would like to welcome on behalf of Tribhuvan University from Recast. So please, the experts, Nepali expert scattered all over the world, please join us as research faculty or visiting faculty or whatever else. We can also develop some formal, informal educations. For that, we would like to invite you all. So these are the projects that already mentioned as flagship projects. Raju sir already mentioned about the co-investment and collaborations. COVID Serological Genome Research Laboratory, together with the Nepal Academy of Science and Technology. Research mentoring program, Young Scientists at Recast, already mentioned that we are going to launch from January 1 next year. And we are under discussions about these two things. STEM educational materials development that we want to develop together so that it can be sent, it can be distributed to all over the country, so that the discrepancies that this morning I forgot the name, one of our revolutionary teacher was mentioning, this discrepancy will be deleted. Then very important thing that we have realized during this pandemic is healthcare materials, and we need to develop them. For developing the healthcare materials, we need some analytics. So analytical laboratory development, this could be some of our very important flagship projects for the future. So at the end, I would say Raju sir will explain this much better than me.
Okay.
So please explain this and also finish this presentation. Thank you so much.
I think we've got only 1 minute left. Thank you, Dr. Saab. I think as our Gewali sir and VC sir and you have shared all along in today also, I think we need to build up funding, an innovation hub, which is lacking in most of the countries. You have technology park, innovation hub and park. We don't have such a culture, and we need to create, and for that we need a funding. And that comes through the joint flagship project and partnership and co-investment. So this kind of an equation, I think we need to develop between the institutions and work through partnership, whether it's a funding, whether it's a collaboration of ideas, and create an innovation technology hub in Nepal, which definitely would be jointly owned and shared with the diaspora and will help flourish these ideas into taking into the field. And this is the last Karya, inter-institutional cooperation, international cooperation, youth party. It's all participative. Without participation, collaboration, nothing can happen. Alone cannot we do anything. So whether it's diaspora or Nepalese scientists, time that we are deeply connected and we work in partnership, whatever it is, it has to be a partnership and collaboration. Thank you. With that, I will stop our presentation, and because we don't have much time left for the question, so I'd like to go straight into the next speaker and invite Ram Lakshman Rimalji. Are they ready, sir? Are they ready?
He has Ramji. Yeah. I think I see him. Yes, Ramji. You are here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, start.
Garo sir, garo.
Sir, please go ahead. I think they don't need any. They don't need any introduction. They have share garnu na screen.
हाम्रो स्क्रिन चाहिँ हटाइदिनु पर्छ कि जस्तो राजु सर
हाम्रो हुन्छ
हटाइदिनु पर्यो. So Ram Lakshman ji do not need much introduction, but yeah, sir, you can if you want.
Yeah. Okay, I think he is he's very known as the twin brother, the brothers of invention. They've got 5 patents and 15 copyrights, and they are working in 50 different projects, all related to entrepreneurship and commercialization of ideas. That's a glaring and a very fantastic example of how the ideas translate into the products. So without much of delay, I'd like to invite now Ram Lakshmanji, please, to share their presentation. Thank you very much.
नमस्कार सबैलाई सर्वप्रथम धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद.
And you have got 15 minutes only.
Okay sir.
Thanks.
I will catch. सर्वप्रथम त यहाँलाई धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद हामीलाई यो मौका दिनुभएकोमा. यो डायस्पोराको माझ हामीले गरेका काम अनि प्लस हाम्रो आइडिया नेपालमा यो आइपी इन्टेलेक्चुअल प्रपर्टी राइटको पोलिसी यसलाई चाहिँ के गर्दाखेरि राम्रो हुन्छ, केही आइडियाहरू हामीले जेनेरेट गरेका छौँ र हामीले केही कुराहरू प्र्याक्टिकली फिल्डमा पनि देखाएका छौँ. त्यही कुराहरू सेयर गर्न यो मौका दिनुभएको सर्वप्रथम धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद. म समय चाहिँ सानो छ, छोटो छ. मैले मेरो टपिक चाहिँ कमर्सियलाइजेसन अफ आइपिआर इन नेपाल. नेपाल जस्तो देशमा यो इन्टेलेक्चुअल प्रपर्टी राइटलाई कमर्सियलाइज गर्न चाहिँ धेरै हर्डल्सहरू हामीले देखिरहेका छौँ र अहिले गरेका जुन लेभलबाट हामीले कामहरू गरेका छौँ त्यो केही कुराहरू म सेयर पनि गर्न चाहन्छु. र हामी कहाँ कस्तो स्थिति छ अहिले, आइपिआरको स्थिति हामी कहाँ कस्तो छ, र त्यो आइपिआरको त एउटा स्टेटस भयो, त्यो स्टेटस सँगसँगै अर्को यसलाई युजमा आउने, यसलाई कमर्सियलाइज गर्ने काम चाहिँ महत्त्वपूर्ण हुन जान्छ. त्यो लिएर यो प्रपर्टी मात्रै लिएर हामीले राइट मात्रै ओगटेर बसेर मात्र भएन, त्यसलाई हामीले इम्प्लिमेन्ट पनि गर्न सक्ने, बजारमा पनि जान सक्ने, कसरी गर्न सकिन्छ त्यो विषयमा अलिकति मैले यो स्लाइड मार्फत देखाउने प्रयास गर्दैछु. अब आइपिआर को चाहिँ अब यो इन्टरनेसनल वाइपो को चाहिँ उ अनुसार डेफिनेसन अनुसार इन्टेलेक्चुअल प्रपर्टी राइट यसले चाहिँ क्रिएसनलाई माइन्डको क्रिएसनलाई इन्भेन्सन र कुनै आर्टिस्टिक वर्क डिजाइन सिम्बोलहरू यस्तोहरूलाई जनाउँछ भन्नेको छ। हामी अझ यसलाई के भन्छौँ भने अझ हाम्रो जस्तो यहाँको जस्तो अवस्थामा चाहिँ पोटेन्सियल इम्प्रुभमेन्टलाई स्पट गर्नु पर्यो। त्यसपछि त्यसलाई हाम्रो ग्याप हाम्रो चाहिँ निड छ जुन त्यो निडलाई हामी कसरी फुलफिल गर्न सक्छौँ यो कुरोलाई हामीले चाहिँ यो मार्केटले डिमान्ड गरेको आधारमा हामीले त्यो निडलाई फुलफिल कसरी गर्न सक्छौँ त्यो कुरा हामीले चाहिँ यो हामी मान्दछौँ। यो क्रिएटिभिटी हुनु पर्यो, अब यसमा बिजनेस हुनु पर्यो, एडाप्टेबिलिटी हुनु पर्यो। मेजर भनेको चाहिँ एडाप्टेबिलिटी, क्रिएटिभिटी चाहिँ अब इन्भेन्सनको एउटा पार्ट नै भयो। अब एडाप्टेबिलिटी र बिजनेस यो बजारमा जाने एडाप्ट गर्न सक्ने खालको कुरो र त्यसपछि अब बिजनेस भने चाहिँ मेजर कुरो यो रहन्छ।
रामजी हजुर म्युट हुनुभएको कि हामीले सुनेनौँ कि?
अलिकति उहाँको टेक्निकल
इन्टरनेटको प्रब्लम जस्तो छ उहाँको।
इन्टरनेटको प्रब्लम होला उहाँको कम्प्युटरबाट। अरू Ashish, is he connected from? Can you look at IT support staff, see if you can track what's happening? Ashish?
हेलो सर, यो अब उहाँ राम सरको नेट गएको छ सर, प्रब्लम चाहिँ उहाँकै आएको हो, यहाँबाट चाहिँ के भएको होइन सर, मलाई एकचोटि फेरि जोइन हुनुपर्छ त्यही हो।
Okay, so can anyone ring him to say to reconnect or he's doing that already?
म उहाँलाई फोन गर्दैछु, म ट्राई गर्दैछु। अब यसो गरौँ सर, कसरी गरौँ, उहाँ फेरि जोइन हुनुभयो भने लिउला कि?
I think that's a great idea. Saving time is very important because I think this session today is divided into two, and the first part was the presentation, which is equally important, was the most important to lay the foundation for the next session of the panel discussion, and we have invited panel discussion. So, Rameshwar sir, if you are busy, can you want to take over this session? Or until such time he comes back, I'd like to introduce our panel members. We have listed here Mahavir Poon sir. We just got a message that he has to go to Birgans, but he'll try to attend, see who comes in his place or he himself will be there. We wait and see. And Dr. Bijay Pant, panelist, is a professor, Central Department of Botany, Tribhuvan University. Dr. Sering Lama, panelist he's the CEO of Mia Idea Studios, Nepal, and Dr. Diwan Rai, panelist, research fellow, Global Institute of Interdisciplinary Studies. I had few messages sent to me by Rameshwar sir that the replacement would be happening if the original panel members are not there. But are you there, Rameshwar sir?
सर यस सर, यहाँ अलिकति अपडेट गर्नुपर्ने छ, म हजुरहरु सबैलाई
please go ahead and take over. Yeah.
Okay, thank you sir. Thank you so much. I think we can also partly do the discussion in Nepali. Do we still have our foreigner in the room?
Well, it's a global
event. Anyway, I proceed with
use both languages.
English. So we have in our panel, of course, our chairperson, Sunil Babu sir, Deepak Gewali sir, already introduced. Sir, thank you so much. You gave so nice, brilliant ideas about innovations. Always we listen to you and we learn a lot of things. So we don't have Dr. Doman Rai because she is right now in USA. We could not get contact with her, but I have contacted Dr. Suresh Manandhar.
Ram Lakshmanji is online.
Sureshji is online?
Ram Lakshmanji is online, sir.
Okay. Ram Lakshmanaji is online. I just finished my my introduction. After that, we can give this floor to Ramji.
Okay, sir.
So then we have Chiring Lama, already introduced. He is one dream dweller, but very active scientist also. Dr. Chiring Lama is CEO in Idea Studio Nepal, has a lot of ideas and materialize these ideas. So I just wanted to introduce also my colleague, Professor Vijaya Panta. She is also already here. She was also in the mornings. From the morning, she has been joining us. Thank you so much. So then, Raju sir, we let us proceed to finish the presentation by Ramji, and then we go to the panel discussion.
And also, Dr. Rameswar sir, I would like to add to the point that all our speakers are also part of the panelists. So
yes.
So they're also a part of panelists. So please go ahead, Rameswar sir.
Okay. And Mahavir Punji might not be able to come here because he's in emergency meeting. He has to go to the to Birgans. He's in the airport right now. But Hari Silwalji will join on his behalf. Thank you. Ramji, are you ready for your presentation again?
Yes, sir. Yes. I just closed my camera.
In a few minutes.
Okay. हाँ सर म मेरो क्यामेराले धोका दिएको कारणले गर्दा यहाँ मेरो रिस्टार्टै गर्नु पर्यो कि मैले अघि म यहाँ पुर्याइसकेको थिएँ हाम्रो आइपी इनोभेसन्सको कम्पोनेन्टमा चाहिँ क्रिएटिभिटी बिजनेस अड्याप्टेबिलिटी अब यो लगायतका कुराहरू सस्टेनेबिलिटी पनि हुनु पर्यो एफिसिएन्ट पनि हुनु पर्यो यो लगायतका कुराहरू सबैलाई चाहिँ इन्क्लुड गरेर कुनै कुरो अब भनौँ न कुनै प्रडक्ट एउटा त्यो चाहिँ प्रडक्टमा बन्नुपर्छ भन्ने चाहिँ अब इनोभेसनको आइपी इन्टेलेक्चुअल प्रपर्टी राइटको चाहिँ कन्सेप्ट यो छ अहिलेको हाम्रो पोसिबिलिटी हेरौँ हामी कहाँ यहाँ चाहिँ एज ग्रुप पनि हाम्रो अहिले यङै मान्छे हामी जस्तै अलिक केही गरौँ भन्ने खालको मान्छेहरूको एज ग्रुप धेरै नै छ हामी धेरै नै छौँ अब यो अहिले हाम्रो पपुलेसन रेसियो 60% एज ग्रुप चाहिँ हाम्रो जस्तो एज ग्रुप छ अब गभर्मेन्ट स्टेबल छ त्यस्तै अब डिप्लोयमेन्टको चाहिँ फुल डिप्लोयमेन्टको पोटेन्सियल छ अहिले हाम्रो कहाँ केही पनि कामहरू भएको छैनन् अब इकोनोमिक ग्रोथ पनि अब राम्रै छ यो कोभिडले गर्दा मात्रै अलिकति यस्तो बनेको हो त्यस्तै अब रिन्युएबल एनर्जी पनि हाम्रोमा अब अहिले त हामी धेरै चाहिँ आत्मनिर्भर भयौँ र अलमोस्ट अबको चाहिँ 2-4 वर्षमा त हामीले एक्सपोर्ट मजाले गर्न सक्छौँ हामी कहाँ जत्रै ठुलै फ्याक्ट्री भए पनि चलाउन सक्ने अवस्था छ त्यस्तै अब पूर्व मेचीदेखि महाकाली अब चाहिँ हिमालदेखि पहाडसम्मको तराईसम्मको एरिया भएको हुनाले बायोडाइभर्सिटीको पनि हाम्रो राम्रो चाहिँ रहेको देखिन्छ नेचुरल रिसोर्सेस हामी कहाँ त झन् टन्नै छँदैछ र अर्को हाम्रो एकदमै नगरी नहुने कुरा चाहिँ हाम्रो डेभलपिङ उसमा स्टेजमा हामी जाँदैछौँ त्यो लेभलमा पुग्नलाई हामीले क्याच गर्नलाई पनि हाम्रो हात त्यो अनुसार अगाडि बढाउनु पर्ने अवस्था छ यो सबै चाहिँ हाम्रो पोसिबिलिटी अहिलेको पोटेन्सियालिटी छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई त्यसैमा हामी इन्टेलेक्चुअल प्रपर्टी राइटलाई हामी एड गरेर चलाउन सक्यौँ यो यसैलाई अगाडि बढाउन सक्यौँ भने यसले केही न केही राम्रो एक प्रकारको ग्रोथ गर्न सक्छ र अहिलेको हाम्रो इन्स्टिट्युसनहरूको चाहिँ करेन्ट स्टेटस चाहिँ हाम्रो यस्तो छ युनिभर्सिटीहरू रिसर्च सेन्टरहरू भए अब त्यहाँ हाम्रा विभिन्न अर्गनाइजेसनहरू छन् त्यस्तै नास्ट भयो त्यस्तै नेपाल गभर्मेन्ट पनि अहिले चाहिँ नेपाल गभर्मेन्टले एसटिआई पोलिसी चाहिँ नयाँ लिएर आएको छ त्यसले पनि हामीलाई एउटा राम्रो लेभल बनाउन सक्छ अब इनोभेसन सेन्टर एनआइसी छ एनआइसीले पनि अब इन्क्युबेसनको कामहरू गरिरहेको छ र अब अहिले हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हामी कहाँ के देखिन्छ भने यो हुँदाखेरि पनि करेन्ट फिगर चाहिँ हाम्रो के छ भने हाराहारी 80 प्यारेन्ट किन त्यो हाम्रो उसमा चाहिँ डिवाईमा त्यो यो उल्लेख गरेर रहन्छ ठ्याक्कै एक्ज्याक्ट सङ्ख्या उल्लेख गरेर रहन्छ हाराहारी 80 को सङ्ख्यामा हाराहारी प्याटेन्ट छ त्यो मध्ये 9वटा प्याटेन्ट एक्टिभ छन् अहिले भनेको 9वटा प्याटेन्ट राइटले मात्रै अब कमर्सियली भाइबल प्याटेन्ट्सहरू चाहिँ 9वटा प्याटेन्ट राइट मात्रै छन् त्यो म्याच्युरिटी पुगिसकेका प्याटेन्टहरू छन् अरू अब विदेशी प्याटेन्टहरू छन् त्यसले गर्दा यो प्याटेन्टमा चाहिँ एकदमै हामी कमजोर देखिया छौँ करेन्ट फिगर हेर्दाखेरि अब अर्को चाहिँ यो कम्पनी रजिस्ट्रार हाम्रो प्रतिलिपि रजिस्ट्रारको कार्यालयबाट आएको डाटा हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ 1568वटा प्रतिलिपि राइट चाहिँ दर्ता भएको रहेछ त्यसमा पनि अब मेरै फिल्ड यो कम्प्युटर सफ्टवेयरमा चाहिँ जम्मा 28वटा छ अब त्यसमा हुने चाहिँ यो एउटा दुईटा वर्षको एउटा दुईटा भन्न छैन। अब यसलाई एक्सिलरेट गराउनु पर्छ, यसलाई चाहिँ अलिकति बढाउनु पर्छ भन्ने चाहिँ नि हाम्रो कन्सेप्ट हो। अब हामी चाहिँ ल्याकिङ भएको कुराहरू पनि जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई यो 2-4वटा कुराहरू। हामी एउटा गभर्नमेन्ट बडीको बिलिफ पनि अलिकति होमग्रोन टेक्नोलोजीहरूमा नभएर जस्तो लाग्छ। किनभने विदेशबाट ल्यायो भन्ने बित्तिकै जे पनि गजब राम्रो भन्ने नेपालमा बनेको कुरालाई चाहिँ यो अब लोकल के होला कसो होला भन्ने खालको अलिकति त्यो खालको मानसिकता पनि नेपाल गभर्नमेन्टमा छ। त्यो हामीले जुन प्रडक्ट कुनै कुराहरू हामी चाहिँ किन्न खोज्छौँ, त्यो किन्न खोज्दै प्रोक्योरमेन्टमा पनि भन्न त नियममा भनेको छ नेपाली प्रडक्टलाई चाहिँ अलिकति मान्यता दिने, त्यसलाई चाहिँ केही एक्स्ट्रा चाहिँ गर्ने भनेको छ, तर त्यो कुराहरू छैन। अर्को नेसनल बजेट ल्याबोरेटरिजको लागि नेपालमा त्यो बजेटहरू पनि अलिकति कमी छ, त्यसलाई पनि अलिकति बढाउनु पर्ने अवस्था देखिन्छ। अनि कोलाबोरेसनको कुराहरू छ, अलिकति एकाडेमिक इन्स्टिट्युसन र इन्डस्ट्रीको कोलाबोरेसन नभएको कारणले गर्दा चाहिँ अब यस्ता इनोभेसन्सहरूलाई अलि बजारमा जानलाई अप्ठ्यारो परिरहेको अवस्था छ। अर्को एक्रेडिटेसनको कुरा, अब जस्तो कुनै सामान बन्यो, कुनै एउटा इक्विपमेन्ट बन्यो भनेदेखि त्यो इक्विपमेन्टलाई टेस्ट गर्नको लागि हामी कहाँ यहाँ त्यो राम्रो ल्याबदेखि लिएर यी कुराहरू छैनन्। त्यो कारणले गर्दा पनि हामीले जुन सर्टिफिकेसनको कुराहरू, यी कुराहरूमा चाहिँ हाम्रो नेपालमा यो नहुँदा कारणले गर्दा जस्तो बाहिर चाहिँ सामान हामीले यहाँबाट एक्सपोर्ट गर्नलाई पनि गाह्रो अवस्था रहेछ। अर्को मेन भनेको चाहिँ अब विल पावरै भन्छौँ, किनभने गभर्नमेन्टले जसरी नि नेपाली प्रडक्टलाई यसलाई गरौँ, यहाँ गरेको रियल प्रडक्ट छ भने त्यसलाई चाहिँ इन्हान्स गरौँ भन्ने खालको एउटा विल पावर चाहिँ हामी सबैको त्यो टाइपको भइदियो भने हामी प्राइभेट रूपबाट मात्रै नभएर हामी एउटा चाहिँ नेसनल लेभलमै कामहरू गर्न सक्ने अवस्था छौँ। त्यो कुरो छ। अब गर्नलाई चाहिँ हामी अब के गर्न सक्छौँ त, के काम गर्न सक्छौँ त भन्ने छ। अब यसमा चाहिँ हामीले सुरुबाटै III को एउटा कन्सेप्ट, यो इमिडिएट, इनोभेट र इन्भेन्ट, यो चाहिँ यसले इमिडिएट अहिले जुनसुकै देशहरू पनि हामीले देख्दाखेरि इनिसियली भर्खर सुरुमा डेभलप भएकाहरूले त इन्भेन्सन 0 लेभलबाट इन्भेन्सन गरे होला, तर हामी अहिले आएर त यो अर्काको चाहिँ भेलमा हामी मिसिँदैछौँ। त्यो भेलमा मिसिनको लागि हामीले पहिला चाहिँ इमिटेसनकै कुरा, त्यसपछि अब त्यसलाई इनोभेसनको कुरा र त्योभन्दा पछाडि इन्भेन्सनको कुरा, यो 3टा III को कन्सेप्ट लिएर गयो भने यो चाहिँ राम्रो हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई। अर्को चाहिँ प्रायोरिटाइज रेलेभेन्ट टेक्नोलोजिकल इनोभेसनहरूमा अलिकति त्यसलाई प्रायोरिटाइज पनि गर्ने, किन गभर्नमेन्टले पनि त्योसँगको रिलेटेड हामीलाई आवश्यक परेका यस्ता खालका प्रडक्टहरू नेपालमा बनाउन पाए हुन्थ्यो। जस्तो अहिले कोभिड रिलेटेड प्रडक्टमा नास्टले ठुलो इनिसिएसन लिएर चाहिँ काम गरेर एउटा ऐतिहासिक काम गरेको छ। हो त्यस्तै खालका कामहरूलाई अलि गभर्नमेन्टले अलि सेन्सिटाइज गरेर यसलाई बढाउन सक्यो भनेदेखि यो राम्रो हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ। अनि रिसर्च इनोभेसन सेन्टर पनि नहुने अवस्था छ। अलि वाइड लेभलको जुन चाहिँ नेपालमा भएका भेराइटिज अफ चाहिँ इनोभेसन्सहरूलाई एक्रिडिटेट गर्न सक्ने खालका त्यस्तो बनाउनु पर्ने देखिएको छ। अनि त्यस्तै हाम्रो डेभलप कन्ट्रीहरूसँग कोलाबोरेसन गर्ने पनि यो कुराहरू र एकाडेमिक इन्स्टिट्युसनहरूमा पनि इन्टरनेसनल इन्स्टिट्युसनसँग हाम्रो इन्स्टिट्युसन कोलाबोरेसन गरेर यहाँ बनेका प्रडक्टलाई हामीले इन्टरनेसनल बजारमा पनि लान सक्ने र अहिले हामीले देखेको मेजर आइपिआरको ठुलो ल्याकलाई चाहिँ यो गर्नलाई हामी वे फरवर्ड के गर्नुपर्ने छ भने नेपालमा लिएको प्याटेन्ट लाई हामीले इन्डिया र चाइनामा एटलिस्ट चाहिँ लिन नपाउने गराउन सक्न पायो भने पहिलो यो यदि एउटा काम गर्न सक्यो भनेदेखि चाहिँ अब नेपालमा यहाँ भनौँ न हामीले यस्ता गरेका कामहरूलाई हामीले तुरुन्तै इन्टरनेसनल बजारमा पनि हामीले अगाडि बढाउन सक्ने अवस्था रहन्थ्यो जस्तो लाग्छ। अब हाम्रो अलिकति कन्ट्रिब्युसन मैले यसो प्र्याक्टिकल वेमा हामीले गरे कामहरू अघि सरले भनिसक्नुभयो। हाम्रो 5वटा प्याटेन्ट राइट छ, 3टा हाम्रो अहिले चाहिँ एप्लिकेसनकै उसमा छ, अवस्थामा छ। अब यसमा मैले अलिकति डिटेल पनि छ। यो हाम्रो वायरलेस कम्युनिटी रेस्क्यु साइरन सिस्टम, यो हामीले प्याटेन्ट गरेर हामीले बजारमा पनि यसलाई चाहिँ युज गरिरहेका छौँ। हामीसँग अहिले हाराहारी 3 लाखको सङ्ख्यामा हाउसहोल्डहरू यो वायरलेस कम्युनिटी रेस्क्यु साइरन सिस्टमबाट आबद्ध भएका छन् र एभ्री डे भनौँ न लगभग हामी 1 महिनामा 5वटा 6वटा जति चोरीका घटनाहरू, चोर समातेका यस्ता यी कुराहरू हामीले यहाँबाट पाइरहेका छौँ। यही सिस्टमले चाहिँ यो काम गरिरहेको छ। त्यस्तै हाम्रो यो इलेक्ट्रिकल सप्लाई साइड म्यानेजमेन्ट सिस्टम, यो चाहिँ यो बिजुलीको यो म्यानेजमेन्ट गर्ने हो। यसलाई हामीले यसको नि पेटेन्ट 8-9 वर्ष अगाडि हामीले पेटेन्ट लिएको। यसलाई हामीले अलिकति बजारमै युज गर्न चाहिँ सकेनौँ, किन त्यो गभर्नमेन्टकै भर पर्नुपर्ने अथवा एनइएको भर पर्ने कारणले गर्दा हामीले यो युज गर्न सकेनौँ। तर यो हाम्रो इन्टरनेसनल पेटेन्ट पनि दर्ता गरेका छौँ। यो उज्यालो भन्ने लोड लिमिटर डिभाइस, यो हामीले चाहिँ एउटा पेटेन्ट लिएका थियौँ। यो चाहिँ सप्लाई साइड म्यानेजमेन्ट सिस्टम, यो एनर्जीको जुन म्यानेजमेन्ट हामीले जुन सप्लाई गर्छौँ त्यसलाई चाहिँ सप्लाई नै साइडबाट कन्ट्रोल गर्न सकिन्छ, डिमान्ड साइडलाई पर राखेर यो आधारमा हामीले एउटा पेटेन्ट लिएका थियौँ। त्यसलाई हामीले कमर्सियलाइज गर्न त सकेका छैनौँ, तर हामीले यसलाई यसको नि वे आउटहरू हेरिरहेका छौँ कसरी गर्न सकिन्छ भनेर। अघिकै नै हो यसैको नयाँ भर्जन यसको पेटेन्ट गरेका थियौँ। त्यस्तै वाइपोमा हामीले वर्ल्ड इन्टेलेक्चुअल प्रपर्टी अर्गनाइजेसनमा 2009 मा पहिलो पेटेन्ट दर्ता गरेका थियौँ लोड लिमिटर डिभाइसको। यो चाहिँ हामीले फेरि नेपालको कन्ट्रीबाट जान नमिलेर हामी हङकङ भएर गएका थियौँ, किनभने कन्ट्री अफ ओरिजिन नेपाल राखेर हामी पिसिटीमा यो दर्ता गर्न नमिल्ने रहेछ, त्यो छ। त्यस्तै इन्डियाबाट हाम्रो पेटेन्ट दुईवटा पेटेन्ट चाहिँ यो बिग पेटेन्टको रूपमा पब्लिस भएको छ। त्यो बिग पेटेन्ट चाहिँ उसले 100वटा पेटेन्ट वर्षमा 100वटा पेटेन्टलाई चाहिँ बिग पेटेन्टमा पब्लिस गराउँदो रहेछ। त्यो दुईटै हाम्रो दुईटा दर्ता गरेको पेटेन्ट दुईटै चाहिँ परेको थियो बिग पेटेन्टमा। त्यस्तै हाम्रो आरएफआइडी बेस्ड इलेक्ट्रोनिक भोटिङ मेसिन हाम्रो अहिले पेटेन्ट एउटा यो उसमै छ, यो पेन्डिङमै छ। हामीले त्यसलाई आइडी बेस इलेक्ट्रोनिक भोटिङ मेसिन बनाएको छौँ। त्यो धेरै भर्जनहरू परिमार्जन परिष्कृत भएर आइसकेको छ। यो पनि हामीले यसलाई हामीले कमर्सियली धेरै ठाउँमा प्रयोग पनि गरिरहेका छौँ। त्यस्तै कपिराइटहरू हामीसँग कपिराइट धेरै छन्, हामीसँग 18-19वटा कपिराइट हाम्रो अबको उसमा यो वर्ष हामी 18-19वटा कपिराइट टोटल बनाउँछौँ। त्यो हाम्रो अहिले प्रोसेसमै छ। 3टा कपिराइट त हाम्रो आजभोलि नै फाइनल हुने अवस्थामा छ। त्यस्तै हामीले एउटा सिक्योरिङ एटिएम ट्रान्जेक्सन युजिङ टेलिकम नेटवर्क सब्सक्रिप्सन नम्बर एज एन अल्टरनेटिभ युजर आइडी भेरिफिकेसन, यो हामीले अहिले जुन हामी कहाँ यहाँ एटिएम कार्डलाई चाहिँ ह्याक गरेर एटिएम कार्डलाई नै चाहिँ क्लोन गरेर त्यो पैसा निकाल्ने विदेशीले चाहिँ पैसा निकालेर लग्यो भन्ने कुराहरू आइसके पछाडि 3-4 वर्ष अगाडि हामीले यो सिस्टम बनाएको थियौँ। टेलिफोन नम्बरलाई हामीले त्यसको एउटा आइडीको रूपमा एडिसनल लेयरको रूपमा युज गर्ने भनेको हाम्रो टिएनएसएनलाई एज अल्टरनेटिभ भेरिफिकेसन मेथड युज गर्ने गरी यो यसको कामहरू अगाडि बढिरहेको छ र यो पेमेन्टै मेथडमा हामीले अहिले काम पनि गरिरहेका छौँ। अब हाम्रो यही भोटिङ मेसिनको कुराहरू छ। त्यस्तै कम्युनिटी साइरेन सिस्टम हाम्रो युज केस, यो हाम्रो भोटिङ मेसिनको एउटा नयाँ भर्जन थियो। हामीले चाहिँ यो डिफ्रेन्ट हामीले यो डिसेबिलिटिज भएका व्यक्तिहरूलाई यो पनि स्पेसली भिजुअली इम्पेयर्ड मान्छे उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ अब आँखा देख्नै नसक्ने मान्छेलाई हामी दोस्रो मान्छेको सहयोग बिना नै भोट गर्न सक्ने, आफैले भोट गर्न सक्ने गरी बनायो। हाम्रो यो भोटिङ मेसिनको गत वर्षको चुनाव हो। गत वर्ष हामीले विराटनगरमा चुनाव गरेका थियौँ। नेपाल राष्ट्रिय अपाङ्ग महासङ्घको चुनाव गरेका थियौँ। त्यहाँ 104 जना चाहिँ दृष्टिविहीन व्यक्तिहरूले विदाउट एनी सपोर्ट उहाँहरूले आफै गएर भोट हाल्नुभयो। त्यसमा चाहिँ त्यो भोइसले बोल्थ्यो र अटोमेटिक नेभिगेट गर्ने सिस्टम थियो। उसले चाहिँ के चलाइरहेको छ यो कुराहरू चाहिँ त्यो मेसिनले नै बोल्ने र उहाँको कानमै गएर बोलिदिने सिस्टम थियो। यो हामीले इम्प्लिमेन्टै गरेको केसहरू देखाएको हो। त्यस्तै लेट्स गो भन्ने हाम्रो मोबाइलको एप्लिकेसन, यसमा हामीले 2-3टा कुराहरू गरिरहेका छौँ। एउटा लाइभ ट्राफिक, नेपालमा लाइभ ट्राफिक नहुँदाखेरि जुन बाटो जाँदाखेरि पनि हामी यो ट्राफिकमा अड्किने अवस्थाहरू छ, त्यो लाइभ ट्राफिकको लागि पनि अनि सँगै पब्लिक यातायात, यो पब्लिक बसको लागि गाडीको लागि चाहिँ अहिले गाडी कहाँ आइपुगिरहेको छ, कति प्यासेन्जर छन्, यो सबै कुराहरू अब अहिलेको हाम्रो लेटेस्ट भर्जनमा चाहिँ के गरेका छौँ भने गाडीमा त्यो इम्प्लिमेन्ट भइसकेको छैन। अब अलिकति यो कोभिडले नै चाहिँ हामीलाई गाह्रो बनाइरहेको छ। अहिले हामी गाडीभित्र बसेका मान्छेहरू मास्क लाएर बसेका छन् कि छैनन्, अनि रोमा बसेका छन् कि छैनन्, त्यो एआईबाट क्यालकुलेसन गरेर त्यो आधारमा डाटा दिने खालको सिस्टम डेभलप गरेका छौँ। त्यो छ। अब हामीसँग अहिले 50औं प्रडक्टहरू बनाएका छौँ। हामीले अब सबै प्याटेन्टेड त छैनन्, तर अब कति कुराहरू त ट्रेड सिक्रेट पनि गरेका छौँ। अब कति कुराहरू चाहिँ हामी प्याटेन्ट पनि गरेका छौँ। र हामीले अब एउटा काम हामी के गर्दैछौँ भने प्याटेन्ट नेपालमा प्याटेन्टको ट्रेडिङ, यो आइपिआरको ट्रेडिङ भएको छैन। अब हामीले चाहिँ एउटा यो ट्रेडिङ गरेर हामीसँग भएको आइपिआर हाम्रो राइटलाई हामी बेच्दैछौँ, बेचि नै सकेका छौँ। अब त्यो एउटा टाइममा हामी यसलाई हामी डिस्क्लोज गरौँला। एउटा राम्रै भ्यालुमा हामीले हाम्रो आइपिआर चाहिँ सेल गरेको अवस्था छ। यसले चाहिँ एउटा माइलस्टोन के क्रिएट गर्न सकोस् भने इन्टेलेक्चुअल प्रपर्टी राइट पनि अरू प्रपर्टी जस्तै यो ट्यान्जिबल प्रपर्टीको रूपमा छ। र यदि यसमा काम गर्यो भनेदेखि भोलि भविष्यको पुस्ता, अब आउने पुस्ताहरू, हामीभन्दा पछाडिका पुस्ताहरूलाई पनि यसले राम्रो गर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ। अब मेजर यो कुराहरू मैले सेयर गर्न पाएँ। यहाँहरूलाई धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद यो मौका दिनुभएकोमा।
हजुर सर, थ्याङ्क यू सो मच रामजी। रामजी चाहिँ नि अलिकति सन्चो पनि छैन हुँदै पनि यसरी हाम्रो चाहिँ फोरममा आएर यो प्रेजेन्टेसन गरिदिनु भयो। वी आर सो थ्याङ्कफुल टु यू। Thank you so much. I think Raju sir, we are now finished with the presentations, and we can now go for the discussions. Raju sir. Raju sir, you have to unmute.
Yes, I think thanks. I think we're well in time. We can recover some of the time during the panel discussion, and definitely we have 10 minutes for our chairperson to summarize all sessions. So as I was looking at the time, we got around 25 minutes, 22 to 25 minutes for the panel discussion.
4 minutes each दिनुपर्छ होला.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and please go ahead.
Okay, sir. Then I proceed with question and answer,
Yep.
giving the time for our panelists. So thank you. Then now we see, based on the presentation by Deepak sir and other colleagues, we see what problem we have, what difficulties we have, and what potentials we have, and what partners we have. This is also clear to us. Now we have the partnership in NRN, Nepal, and we have the potential. We can do patenting, we can develop things, we can innovate them, but still we are not moving forward. What we should do? So what exactly we should do from your perspective, because we are also from different organizations, from universities, from Idea Studio, from a private organization, academics, all the persons who are in the panel members, as well as the speakers. So from your perspective, everybody has 3 to 4 minute time. Raju sir, is it correct? So you have to please tell our forum that what we need, from your perspective, what is the gap, what we should do. So please, and how do you extract from the presentations? What do you understand from the presentations of our keynote speakers and from our presenters? So please give in few sentences your ideas, your perceptions. Thank you so much. Everybody has 3 to 4 minute time. We can start from, we can start from Dr. Chiring Lama.
Rameswar sir, before Chiring Lamaji speaks out, there was one question pertinent to your summary, that is existing policy in Nepal of research commercialization, innovation good enough or not? If not, why not? That also you can add to your.
Yes, exactly that, on that perspective. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Chiringji, you have to unmute. Yeah,
right.
thanks.
Thank you very much, Professor, sir. And it's a simple honor to be here and able to listen that all the keynote speakers, speeches, and what things can be done in Nepal. And I was very impressed with Ram Lakshman sir's presentation. The things can be done in Nepal. Is always we need to put the text into context, and we need to contextualize that what is suitable for ourselves. Now, one of the things I just quickly want to touch upon that what Idea Studio has been doing, and we have got a slogan called Soch Dekhi Udyog Samma. The reason that we need an innovation in Nepal is that, as we all know, and those who are living abroad, that we still got lots of old problems need to be solved, but also we need to be ready with the new challenges. That is something that we need to follow with our traditions that already been existing, but also we need to be ready for the global trends. Our presenter meant that, things that we create here might not be usable or might not be accepted by the other countries. So due to that as well, we need to come up with the innovative solutions and the unique products. And for that, we need to have a knowledge-based approach to it. And most important thing we need to do is investment. One of the things is, Raju sir, you also mentioned that about the brain drain, and now the NRN is working towards a brain regain, but also that we need to always focus those who are brain in a drain. Lots of people are in Nepal trying to do something, but they need to be refreshed. They need to be enabled, and they also need an investment to take their knowledge to the next level. So due to that as well, we need to ignite the investment for the social change. Also, we need to unlock the youth potentials through the knowledge base as well. And one of the things that Idea Studio has been doing for the last few years is that, and everything's, as we all talk about the multi kind of collaborations. And this is something that Nepal need to understand, the teamwork. We talk about it, but we never do it. And this is something that we never invest on, try to understand what other people does. So we're just happy with knowing people, So due to that as well, that what any kind of business innovation need to flourish in Nepal, we need to have multiple stakeholders. As there's a saying in Africa, there's a proverb in Africa: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think that is what togetherness is needed as well. For any kind of idea to thrive, any kind of business innovative idea to get to the market, we need a private sectors, we need a government and development partners, we need academic partners and media partners, and also technical expertise as well. And this is something that we've been pushing for the last 6 years as Idea Studio. The reason is Nepal need to invest on the social innovations. The reason is social innovation needed is, as the next thing that we need to push forward, what lots of people are trying to do is how we can able to come up with a solution that can solve our existing problem, but also able to add the value to what we try to thrive as a business or knowledge-based business in Nepal. Second is we need an investment. And when we talk about investment, we don't only talk about the investment of money. We talk about investment of time, talent, and treasure. If people can able to invest time, let's look into how the people can invest time, and also talent, something that we need to do. We need to do lots of knowledge transfer. Those who live abroad, those who have access to all this knowledge and expertise, even look into that, how you can able to mentor, able to contribute certain time, certain period of your time, and certain amount of your time and expertise with the colleagues or people who are living in Nepal and trying to do something about it.
Okay, Dr. Chiring, perhaps you have to close now. We will come back to you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, okay. So, okay, we will come back to you again. So I also want to inform all the people who are watching or who are listening, who are participating, to put your question in question answer box or in chat box, so that we can ask the questions to our panelists. So then, from research, innovation, education to commercialization, the same question to Dr. Vijaya Panta. You also have 3.5 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Adhikari. So it's so nice to be here. Wonderful lectures were selected for this topic this morning. Actually, I got the opportunity to learn from everyone. On top of that, I'm going to give some of my words on each presentator's topic. Professor Gyawali sir is always inspiring. We got to learn from his experience as well. The very good point Professor Gyawali put here is how we can, there were so many examples, but use of electricity. The more utility of electric power will be very much helpful to use it, as well as to empower ourselves. I really appreciate, and we can go ahead on that aspect also. And Pramod Paudel, sir, Dr. Paudel actually highlighted the status of university, and really inspiring to see the high rate of publication world ranking. So my being a university professional, I'm talking about the research should always commercialized. It should be for people, not for the publications or impact factor based. Of course, we need to do a research, but we do. The most important task today is to commercialize our research product. And I would like to add one more thing here. We always talk about the commercialization of research, but at the same point, we need to do research on what things should be commercialized. Everything has been commercialized today, but we haven't done the priority based commercialization. What product should be commercialized? Everything in the market are really research based or not? So that is very important thing, and I think this forum will continue to discuss on that topic as well. And it's very eye-opening talk, always Professor Adhikari and Dr. Rajuji. Your talk was really, motivational that we are on the way to lots of collaboration. And of course, this morning I was fortunate to be a judge in the one of the program of space competition where there were students up to the 12th grade. I was amazed and surprised how innovative ideas are there. And this collaboration, I would like to suggest everyone, let's connect with these young guys, young peoples who really have a better innovative idea, and our senior mind can guide them in the right track. So this is also request for a next collaborative process. Let's take these young mind as well. And I was very much fascinated, of course, Ram Lakshmanji's achievements, and I could see some of the product as well, but unfortunately we haven't been able to take the intellectual property right of many of our research, agricultural based research, other research product. Actually, we have done a marvelous research on the really that could be commercialized, but the system of intellectual property right is not that much taking goods. I could see it from his slide only some literature or some those things were actually selected or they have approached, but we haven't approached for the commercial intellectual property right of our research product. So that is
thank you,
quite
madam.
important from my side.
We have to stop you here, but we will come again back to you with 1.5 minute time.
Sure.
Rameswar sir, your question answer, I will add so you can add to your summary. From New Zealand, what are your views on creative content in the context of intellectual property right? It is to Ram sir later on to question wale chai jaos.
Okay, so can we proceed, and we will give time again for the panelists at the end, Raju sir?
Yes, I think we will go for the first round, and then with time save, we can go back.
So now we have one panelist, but she could not enter. She is in the US. Doban Raiji, namaskar to you. I think you are listening to us, but you could not enter into. This is a technical problem. She could not enter into this room. She is very dynamic, very innovative person with full of energy and struggle nature, but she could not join us here. But perhaps she will be joining us later. So now, with the same struggle came National Innovation Center, our Hari Silvaji. He does not have beard now, but he has as the same energy that he had before. Hari Silvaji, you are listening to us from the very beginning, but you could enter very late. Mahavir Punji could not come, so you are representing also Mahavir Ji, but representing totally the National Innovation Center, but of course us. So what is your perception on all the things we are discussing, and what is the problem, how we can solve education, research, innovation to commercialization problem? So you have 3.5 minute time only. I'm sorry. Sir, mute hununcha.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Professor Rameshwar Adhikari, and all the intellectual minds and heads out here. I'm privileged to be here, be a part of this, August discussion. Actually, Dr. Poon was supposed to be here, and he had to leave all of a sudden to Birgant. And as a board member of NIC, I'm representing him. I'm not a technical person, though. Actually, I've been serving the board last 4 years, and we had very good time talking to, discussing and sharing with Dr. Rameshwar while bringing the Innovation Center inside, behind the recast and inside the university. Education, research, innovation, commercialization. Actually, I'm a public accountant, chartered accountant by training. I've been into enterprising since I was 15 or 16 years old. I listened to a couple of presentations, particularly I listened to Dr. Raju Adhikari, Rameshwar sir, and specifically Ramji. I remember how intellectual property organization was established in Nepal and how they struggled to get a few applications in the beginning. There are a few things we need to remember about intellectual property and commercialization and all that. The only concern I've been showing and I've been talking to and trying to motivate people all around, be it youth forums or technical universities or management graduates or entrepreneurs or maybe the associations or wherever it is. Mr. Chiring is there, who is running IDA Studio for a long time. He has more experience than I do. Anyways, I truly believe that, I strongly believe that uh, keeping government policies and limitations aside, I believe that we live in Nepal and we have to accept that we have limitations. Saying that I don't recommend not to improve, we need to look for improvement. At the same time, we cannot just say hue and cry and just wait for things to get better. We need to be a part of the changes. So look at the existing laws and regulations and hurdles and limitations and all these things, then make a plan. As Dr. Vijay rightly pointed out, we need to do research on what can be commercialized. I really like this very sentence the most in this whole room today. So everything is not commercializable. It cannot be commercialized. At present, at NIC, we have about 40 plus projects going on, apart from COVID fighting devices, which are around 17 or 18. Because the country that gets the most, intellectual property application is the US. The US. The problem here is we don't really do the proper research what can be commercialized because it has to be linked to the market. When we say research, let me put you few points. One is legal feasibility. Two is technical feasibility. Three is market feasibility. Four is financial feasibility. And lately, we also do environmental or social feasibility. If the research we have done or any property we have developed, intellectual property we have developed, are positive with these 5 tests, then we can commercialize. This is my point. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you, sir. You really told us the formula, 5-point formula.
Dr. I just would like to add, there's only 5 minutes left before we have to hand over to Sunil sir.
Okay, sir. Then we don't have much time, but I promised my colleagues that I will give you 30 seconds time. Maybe we have to skip time for the speakers. They have already spoken. So Raju sir, you are very tactful in concluding the things. So would you please take this over? Also giving a few seconds time to Dr. Chiring, Dr. Vijay Panta, Hari sir, and maybe others.
Yep. Thank you, Ramesh sir. Excellent. I think we've got only 4 minutes. I think it's like an Olympic race. The only reason why we are fast tracking is because there's an inauguration to be inaugurated by Right Honorable Prime Minister. We all have to be in time, otherwise we'll miss that. We'd like to hear all to him. So the 4 minutes, I will ask each of your panel members to give one punchline message. What is that needs to be done? One message. 1 or maximum 2 messages. And before I come to you, Ram Lakshmanji, if it's there was a question from about the creative content from Vikas Pokhrel from New Zealand, but he can address that during his punchline. So I'll go back to Chiring Lamaji to give us 1 or 2 punchline messages in 30 seconds.
Thank you very much. I think 2 things we really need to do is, one is increase the research fund that need to be increased, because our R&D fund is very, very small in context of globally as well, or is kind of existence. Second one is we need to build a better relationship between the business houses and the academics. And the business house should build a trusted relationship between the 2 organizations. Without that, nothing gonna happen. So I think we also encourage the business houses to bring the R&D grant with the university. That's where the knowledge and the business comes together. I think that things will go further.
Well said. I think business is very important in capital. So next to Ram Lakshmanji, because there was a question also, he never spoke after that. He's a speaker, he's already spoken. If he wants to answer that question, Ramji, what's a message from you?
ठिक छ उहाँ अहिले उहाँको क्वेसनलाई एड्रेस गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हामीले क्रिएटिभ कुनै चाहिँ कुराहरूको इन्टेलेक्चुअल प्रपर्टी राइट लिन सक्छौँ हामीले क्रिएटिभ कन्टेन्टमा त्यो पोसिबल छ र बाहिर पनि छ त्यो नेपालमा पनि त्यो पोसिबल छ र मैले नि एउटा कन्क्लुड गर्न खोजेँ हामी अहिले हाम्रो प्र्याक्टिस चाहिँ के हो भने अहिले सबै यहाँ देखिएको कुराहरू चाहिँ कमर्सियलाइज गर्न सक्ने खालका प्रडक्टलाई हामीले बजारमा ल्याउने प्रयत्न गरेको हौँ हामीले पनि अहिले गरिरहेको काम पनि नत्र भने हामी आफै पनि सस्टेन हुनलाई गाह्रो हुने अवस्था हुन्छ र एन्टरप्रेनरलाई सबै अब यो बजारमा आउन खोजेका एन्टरप्रेनरहरूलाई पनि हाम्रो चाहिँ अल्टिमेट हाम्रो सुझाव चाहिँ के हो भने जे कुरो भायबल छ बजारमा भायबल छ र त्यो कमर्सियलाइज गर्न सकिन्छ त्यसबाट केही बेनिफिट ब्याक आउन सक्छ भने त्यस्तोलाई चाहिँ हामीले यो प्रपर्टी राइटबाट चाहिँ यो राइट लिएर चाहिँ सेक्योर गर्न सक्यो भने त्यसले चाहिँ राम्रो आउटपुट दिन्छ हस् मेरो यही मेसेज रह्यो
Thank you, Ramji. I will go to now Vijay Pantji. Please, your message, just one punchline message, 30 seconds. I think I can't hear your voice.
Let's try our best to encourage the government or other sector for the investment on the commerce-based research that can be commercialized. That is one message. And after this forum, let's interact so that we can do real work on the commercialization of research in both ways, which is the main important thing. And thirdly, I would like to say thank you.
Oh, thanks, great. I'll now move on to National Innovation Center. Ramji, please. You're mute. You're on mute.
Ask me again.
So then, National Innovation Center.
Just one punchline message.
Sure, thank you so much. खास गरी हामीले इन्भेन्सन भन्दा इनोभेसन भन्दा इमिटेसनमा बढी काम गर्नुपर्छ हाम्रो देशमा बजेट कम छ एउटा कुरा त्यो छ अर्को हामीले क्यापिटल फर्मेसन गर्नु पर्यो रिसोर्स पुलिङ गर्नु पर्यो जोसँग जे छ त्यही ल्याएर जम्मा पार्नु पर्यो र अर्को कुरा सरकार जहिले पनि गरिब छ देश पनि गरिब छ जे छ त्यसैबाट थोरै काम सुरु गरेर त्यसलाई चाँडै ल्याइहाल्नु पर्छ त्यति मेरो भनाइ छ
Thank you. I think without much, it's already 4:20. I would like to request our chairperson, Dr. Sunil Babu Shresthaji, please.
एउटा कुरा भन्नुपर्छ होला सर यहाँ हाम्रो दोबान राई युएसए मा मध्यरातमा चाहिँ उहाँ but she could not join. She is in the audience. सुन्न मात्रै पाउनु भयो हैन हाम्रो प्यानलिस्ट हुनुहुन्थ्यो हैन उहाँलाई चाहिँ एकदमै सरी भन्नुपर्छ होला हामीले यहाँ सबैबाट दोबानजी तपाई सुनिरहनु भएको छ तपाईलाई एकदमै धन्यवाद छ आइदिनु भयो तपाईसँग अर्को मौकामा कुराकानी गरौँला तपाईलाई यहाँ भित्र छिराउन सकिएन क्षमा चाहन्छौँ
That's a technical glitch as always.
उहाँलाई प्रमोट गर्न सकिन्थ्यो नि सर प्यानलिस्टमा प्रमोट गर्ने अप्सन
गरे हो त्यो ट्राई गरे हो
भनेको सर हामीले जानेनौं यहाँबाट पनि भएन
Thank you, Sunil sir. Now you got the 9 minutes here and 1 minute been cut. Okay, please go ahead and summarize the session, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Raju Adhikari and Rameshwar Adhikari for making me very easy in conducting this session and completing this session almost in time. Yeah. Distinguished presenters, moderators, panelists, and the participants, ladies and gentlemen, I once again, on the behalf of NAST also, I must say namaskar to all. And in these plenary sessions on the research, innovation, and commercialization, Pragya Deepak Gyawalis gave a keynote speech on reflecting on context of innovations and conditions that allow its flowering. And he talked about the philosophy of science and sociology of technology, linking from global to local in the context of promotion of STI, science, technology, and innovation in Nepal. And three invited speakers, Dr. Pramod Paudel, Ram Lakshmanji Rimal, Dr. Raju Adhikari and Dr. Rameshwar Adhikari gave invited talks highlighting the linkage between the research, innovation, and commercialization. And Dr. Pramod Paudel has focused on the need of quality research and its publication in the high-ranked journals and also the scientific innovations need to be patented for secure commercializations. Dr. Raju Adhikari and Dr. Rameshwar Adhikari in his presentation on the diaspora collaborations for innovations has emphasized on the innovation through the collaboration among the institutions. Mr. Rimal, in his presentation on the commercialization of the intellectual property right in Nepal, highlighted the situation of IPR, and he has rightly pointed out the situation of IPR, and he tries to link with his commercializations as well. Dr. Chiring Lama, Dr. Vijay Ponta, and the representative of National Innovation Center have delivered their wonderful views on the topic as a panelist. They have rightly pointed out the problems we have and highlighted the potentialities, talked about the policies, and identified the possible partners to move ahead. Investment, intellectual property right, innovations, and the institution partnership are the some recommendations that has to be taken care for the innovations, research, innovation, and commercializations. I think these points are need to be highlighted in the proceedings of the knowledge conventions. I think this session has a good discussions on the research innovation situation of Nepal and how we can use it for the commercializations. The talks are very interesting and insightful. I hope you all enjoy it. Therefore, I would like to extend my sincere thanks and appreciation to all the presenters and panelists and also the participants for your enthusiastic deliberations in these plenary sessions. I thank all the participants of the plenary session for your active participation and support to conduct the sessions smoothly. It is strongly felt that we should connect the scientific research with technological innovations. We should finally bring out the value added commercial products. Only then it can bring the prosperity to the nation. Hence, the theme of this plenary session is very, very relevant. Innovation is not just the imitation of technology or the reverse engineering of ready-made products without any newness added to it. Therefore, the innovation demands the research and it carries the prospect for the commercializations. In the same line, the National STI Policy 2076 has also made the innovation an integral part of the this heading, and it has focused the need of promoting the innovation and entrepreneurship in the country. In recent years, many initiatives have been taken for the promotion of innovations in the country from the government as well as the private sectors. Missions of NAST at the moment is Science for Society, Innovation for Prosperity. In these connections, we have established the Center for Innovation for Prosperity and intensified our activities, especially focusing on the activities related to COVID response. We hope to further expand these activities to develop into the National Hub of Innovations. We have launched the National Innovation Digital Network web portal and also in a process of preparing the National Innovation System Framework and the National Innovation Index for Nepal. We are also preparing to develop the Innovation Cafe, Innovation Lab, and Innovation Gallery. Though we have a small fund, we are trying to establish the various kind of programs related with innovations. And through the Innovation for Prosperity programs, we have provided the fund to the young scientists and technologists to bring out the innovative products for the prosperity of the nations. We successfully organized the International Youth Conference for STI. Last year, nearly at the same time, keeping the innovation in the center stage. So the NAST is trying our best to set the proper innovation ecosystem through the holistic approach. We are much aware of strength of partnership and collaboration between the institution working in scientific research and innovations. So we have started the partnership program at NAST. Public-private partnership and academia-industry partnership are the very important tools for the research, innovation, and commercialization. So the NAST has recently started the partnership with the partner private sectors in research and development on PPE, so that the high quality PPE could be produced within the country itself. 21st century is the century of the scientific research, innovation, and commercializations. Science doesn't have the border. Old have already been a global village. And in this context, science diplomacy can play a vital role towards the seeking the opportunities for the technology transfer, scientific collaboration, science research and development, scientific capacity building, scientific data sharing to combat the global problems. So I emphasize here to promote the science diplomacy as the integral part of the foreign policy to promote the research, innovation, and commercialization of the innovative products. We're trying our best to expand our activities to all the 7 provinces with establishing the Center of Excellence, and I hope the science diplomacy will also help in this mission. We are open to all, especially with the NRN, for any kind of the collaboration that supports the promoting the innovations and entrepreneurship in the country. In the same line, we have signed the MOU and also put forward our proposal to NRA's possible support for the project, such as the establishment of science park or the virology research lab at NAST. Through this MOU, the NAST also expects that the NRNA will help us for knowledge and skill transfer and connecting the scientists among the Nepali diaspora to the scientists working inside the country to boost the scientific research and innovations in the nation. For those who cannot come back to Nepal physically, we have proven we have also provided so many opportunities. We have the provision to keep you affiliated to NAST for a knowledge partnership through the Brain Pooling Nepal, NAST Eminent or the SWET Fellowship, Women Scientist Forum, Young Scientist Forum. We are also bringing out the first volume of Who is Who in the STI. For those who haven't missed, missed this opportunity to include their data in the first volume, I request you to send the profile for the second volume or the revised editions. Finally, I sincerely thank the organizer, NRNA, of this convention in the general, and the session coordinator, Professor Dr. Rameshwar Adhikari and Dr. Raju Adhikari in particular for providing me this opportunity to be an integral part of this mega event. I once again thank you everyone involved in these plenary sessions for your kind cooperations. Thank you all.
Thank you, BC sir. Very well summarized, very well said, and very, very conclusive remark and sort of reflected on the roadmap and the role of NAST. Taking that responsibility that as an apex body, and that is what is the expectation of every institutions and startup in Nepal, looking towards NAST to play that coordinating role. And that's what you very well summarized. And we all look forward to working very closely to NAST, through NAST to others. And it's a time for collaboration. And with this one, we would like to close the session, but as we have some little formalities, we have to say a word of thanks, and we have got ICC representative Sonam Lamaji from America, very prominent person, vice president, but I don't see him on the screen in the chat box. So maybe, is Sonam Lama there? No. Sonamji, are you there? No, I don't. Sonamji, no, it's not there. So on his behalf and on President's behalf, and on as a coordinator, both of us, Rameshwar sir and myself, and on behalf of the panelists and the speakers, for your excellent contributions, I think that made this symposium achieve what we are trying to achieve before this started, and has answered most of the questions, which would then be compiled and taken, in writing, and later as recommendation through the white paper and submitted to Government of Nepal and to NAST. And we will not only submit, we have promised, NRN has been asked to follow up every point of recommendation we made to be executed, and we have been made accountable. There's a special session at the end of this conference, separately one of the days, where we are talking what we recommended 2 years ago and what we have achieved and what we want to achieve in next 2 years. So please do attend that session. So it's just not a conference, it's a conference which goes with the promise and delivery. And once again, on behalf of my colleague Rameshwar sir and myself and NRN, I would like to thank everyone. And if Rameshwar sir has anything to add, Rameshwar sir?
Sir, मलाई thank you मात्रै भन्न छ, धन्यवाद मात्रै. Thank you.
Thank you once again. Thank you, VC sir. Thank you all the panelists. With this, we invite you to join our inauguration, which is happening, I think, in room number 1. You might have to use a different Zoom link to enter, and you can't enter there. You are a participant. Unlike a panelist, you have access here. So you'll just be watching our Prime Minister's speech. Thank you once again. Thank you, VC sir. Sunil sir, and thanks everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, VC sir. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
अब राजु सर हामी एक 2 मिनट कुरा गर्नु थियो बाहिर निस्केर कुरा गरौँला
सर नमस्कार है रामेश्वर सर
को बोल्नु भएको हो देखिनु न है नमस्कार प्रमोद पौडेल सर त्यही त नि ल सर एकदमै थ्यांक यू सर एकदमै अब यो अझ रेकर्ड भइरहेको छ यहाँ रेकर्ड नभइदिन हुन्थ्यो है
अब त्यसलाई बन्द गरेर नै गरौँ
हामी यसो इन्फर्मल कुरा गर्न
एकदमै राम्रो म पनि बिहानैदेखि छु है सर सुनिरहेको छु मैले
मैले पनि देखिरहेको थिएँ प्रमोदजीलाई बिहाइन्ड द सिन के अरे यो लाइभ छ आशिष
लाइभ छ हटाइदिनु भयो भने हामी अलिकति कुरा गरौँ हुन्थ्यो
हेलो
इज दिस लाइभ आशिष
अब सेसन एन्ड गर्दिन हुन्छ होला सर धेरै नै ढिलो भइसकेको छ
हामी लाइभ सेपरेटली हामी चाहिँ त्यो सेसनमा अटेन्ड गरौँ
हुन्छ हजुरहरु छुट्टै रुममा अटेन्ड गर्नुस्
हुन्छ ल ओके थ्यांक यू हाम्रो प्रमोद सरलाई मैले एउटा कुरा भन्न पर्ने थियो अहिले खासमा उहाँ चाहिँ नि हाम्रो भर्खरै